Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SimPlay Motorsport. My name is Dan Davis, and I'll be bringing you all the action with my good friend Alexa Marshall. Lexi, how are you doing this fine evening? Obviously, missed you last time out at Zandvoort. Obviously, you yourself was a bit busy, and you missed some great racing. Good wheel-to-wheel action for the Ginettas for the Whodarron Cup. But it's nice to have you back in this very, very warm Texas that we're in. Yeah, well, I think how much you were going on then, I don't think they would hear you again. Good old Streamlabs. Don't know what the channel as things has changed, but for some reason your voice is not popping up again. Should be. Double check that. How do I? Stream mode enabled. There we go. Hopefully that should do it. Try it now again. No. For some reason, it's still not picking you up. Fantastic. Don't need overlays. Don't need that. Just. You never anything works properly, does it? It just never does. Like, you want it to work properly, but it never ever does, which is really frustrating. Why is it not picking up Alexi's voice? That is the question, ladies and gentlemen. Settings. Not my settings. Oh, I just love this. Again, I'm not sure why that's happening. User is at as max volume. Oh God, not again. Say again. Again, I don't know why these things don't save. Like they. Let's try it. Just do a bit of a chat in here, Lexi, while I try and figure out what is going on. I think they should be able to hear you a little bit, but I'll try and figure this out in a minute. Absolutely nothing. Why? Okay, give me 2 seconds, a minute. Again, this is just streamer mode on, hide Discord from Windows streams, cancel, blah blah blah. Streamer should be mode on. So I don't know why, but we should be able to hear her. We should be able to see her as well. So and Streamlabs is just choosing not to pick it up. So this is absolutely genius, and yeah. And I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. This is really, really starting to do my head in now. Just to unmute all that and see if that works.
Coventry, Rugby, Milton Keynes Central, and London Euston. There's trainers for under 11 coaches. First class available at the rear of the train.
There we go. We've got you now.
We
finally got you now.
So the first thing chat hears is me doing a train announcement. Hello, chat.
Hello, chat, indeed. Hopefully you should be able to hear the cars, and now you should be able to hear the stream as well. Oh, God. Right. Okay, let's restart that again. But Lexi, again, sorry for the complications. Streamlabs, I think every single week just tries to catch me off guard once again. But we are live, we are here, and we have got Lexi. Lexi, a quick run through. Obviously, like I said, you missed Zandvoort. You're here now for the fourth round of the season now. We are here at Circuit of the Americas, live here at Texas in a scorcher as well, here as well. Are you looking forward to tonight's race, and what are we looking for tonight?
What we're looking for, it's going to be a very different track. Zandvoort, lots of greenery, lots of sand as well, considering it's located right on the coast. So your track limits you will usually find is the off-track section. However, here it's the only one in ACC with Formula 1 track limits. So the white lines which you see next to the curbs is the track limits. You set four tyres over those white lines. You are going to be getting a little bit of a slap on the wrist from the in-game race system, and you will get a warning, and then of course you get 3 warnings, and the 4th one will be a drive-through penalty. So you really got to figure out where you can push that car to. But this is going to be a key thing with these cars as well. They are very, very small. So wearing a GT car, wearing a GT3 car, you may have a bit more width to play with. These cars are a lot slimmer, so you can not go off the track that much before the game system is giving you a little bit of a no-no.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a very challenge tonight, not just obviously with these hot conditions, but also with the track limits that you've brought up as well. And with these guys as well, being a sprint race, it's going to be incredibly difficult to stay within those limits. So we'll see how they all get on. A quick run through of the championship standings as well, as I will bring that up. I've got a lot of stuff to do tonight, so let's run through them as quickly as we possibly can. O'Reilly leads the way at the minute, leading the championship ahead of Tordock in P2 with Hooper in P3. Duffin in P4 with Silth in that P5 position. McGowan in P7. P8 is Friedman with P9 going the way of Wright. Bestie sat in P10 with Carlos in that 11th place finish. Skunky is in 12th with Leach in 13th. Hoffner in that 14th place position ahead of Goudet, ahead of Yo, ahead of Bolton in that 17th place position. Langley in 18th with Zappanini back in 19th place position. Ramsell in 20th with Clubble 21st. Cranes in 22nd with Varga 23rd. Bell 24th with Aberdeen in 25th. Tipping in 26th with Millington 27th. Nebo in 28th with Old Sim Racer in Sat 29th. Storrock in 30th. Marston in that 31st with Archer 32nd. Taylor 33rd. Fernie 34th. Johnson in 35th, Smith 36th, Cummings in 37th, then we got Williams 38th, Cherrymore 39th, Stardog 40th, Betterson 41st, and those are your championship scores at the minute. Regarding the teams, Stapper Racing once again with a very, very big lead, 674 points to their name, ahead of MSA in that second place position, as we are just coming to the end of this session. And I'll stick to a driver who is still driving. That'd be fabulous. Ahead of MSA with Greasy Bandits in that third place, with SimPlay in fourth, Team RRM in fifth, with Full Sen Jawlords in sixth, Team GBR in seventh, with Quantum Motorsport in eighth, CT Motorsport in ninth, with Ballbusters Racing, GD Racing in 11th, Team Motorsport in 12th, 13th is OWR Racing, 14th is Roadrunner Motors, Team Piston Pounders are in 15th, with Soldor in 16th, 2Cs Racing with A in 17th, 18th is Blunt Force Racing, CGT Motorsport in 19th, with Team Tom in 20th, Team FBR in 21st, and OGR still yet to score a point this far in the season, as we are now getting ourselves ready to go into the first qualifying session of the day. And obviously we got to talk about not just track limits tonight, but obviously the weight, Lexi, as well. There's going to be a lot of weight on board these cars, and I think this is going to be the real issue for some of the guys in the top championship standings. We've got to see on the board here, we got Snai carrying a little bit of weight, with Duffin as well, Hoop at 30th, and O'Reilly with the heaviest, obviously 40 kilos. How much of a difference do you think it's going to make here? Obviously a long circuit, a bit of weight on board really should start hurting them later on in this season.
I don't think it's later on in the season. It's going to be tonight, because we know what it's like, especially that first and final sector. Because the back straight, you may get away with it a little bit if you can hop in the slipstream of somebody, as all the drivers now come out onto the circuit. But it's going to be that key factor, because the more weight you have, the less nimble your car is going to be, meaning the harder it's going to be to get the rotation in, to send your car around that circuit in the fastest way possible. So that is going to be the interesting one when it comes down to it. And the drivers who of course do carry weight, first of all is Matthew Duffin, 25 extra kilograms on board with ballast. 30 kilograms goes to Hooper, 35 kilograms goes to Tardock, 10 kilograms to Snai, 20 kilograms to Silt, and then the most is going to O'Reilly, as you said. 40 extra kilograms is going to be in their car. If you use pounds, then we'll let you do your own conversions. But they now head on to the back straight. This is the thing as well, these cars aren't as fast as GT cars. So the interesting question is going to be, what lap times are we going to be seeing here in qualifying? In free practice, the fastest lap time overall was a 2 minute 17.505. So very easily over the 2 minutes, and with a 10-minute qualifying session, taking into account a outlap as well, you're only going to have 8 minutes to get a lap time on the board. So we're only going to see about 3, possibly 4 runs from each driver here.
Indeed, it is a long lap, and these guys, like I said, have not even. This is the shortest qualifying, the longest qualifying session as well. So, just been trying to make sure that all the sounds are all working. It sounds like I finally got all the settings correct. I need to make a note of all this at some point so we don't mess it up next time. But we are away on qualifying, guys. Let's hear you in the chat, and most importantly, obviously, since you've been away as well, Lexi, we've hit that amazing 1,000 subscribers now. So SimPlay Motorsport is slowly and surely building its way back up and being arguably one of the most competitive leagues here in Assetto Corsa. Right, we are now on board with Tordok, who is coming down the back main straight, and for some reason my keyboard has now died, which is fantastic. So we are on board with Tordok as he heads up towards turn number 1, and he makes sure he hits the braking zone and late apex turn number 1, making sure he gets a good exit through there. As he gets a good exit through there, he then heads down into turn number 2, a swooping right-hander, which will then lead him into then the fast-flowing turns 3, 4 and 5, which, Lexi, obviously we all know very well, this is a replication of the Maggots and Beckett section in at Silverstone.
That's one of the key things with this circuit. It's a mixed match of many corners from around the world. Of course, like you said, many people do call the first sector a rip-off some people do call it a bit of a rip-off Silverstone due to Maggot's and Beckett's section, but it does create an interesting format to the racing. Down and through the chicane, down the left-hander, into the braking zone. This is going to be one of the big overtaking opportunities on lap number 1. An up and under is a possibility, or a move down the inside, heading onto this long back straight. You're hopping the slipstream, you're hopping the toe, and you try and get past. Well, this is qualifying, so it's pedal to the metal. The foot goes to the floor for Tardo, as he's going to be driving with all that clean air right in front of him. How is the dirty air going to affect these drivers during this qualifying session as well, with so many cars around the circuit of what Section 1 and Section 2 completely full of machinery. One car going a bit slower ahead of Tardo, the entry left-hander, perfect nailing into the right-hander, which tightens up the entry, and then onto the right-left sweep. Into the braking zone, maybe a little bit of a dive run through this double left-hander as well. You think you want to hit that apex into the first of the left-hander, but you don't. You want to run it wide and hit the apex on the second part, then you head into this triple apex right-hander, passing the COTA tower, through the right-handers, trying to keep it so the car doesn't float to the outside, then through the penultimate corner. You know, you've seen it in IndyCar, they don't really care about track limits there, but you will have to tonight. Down into the final corner, make or break your lap, hit the apex, don't try not split the GT4 on that slight top curve on the inside, round the corner to the line, 218.03 is going to be at the top, and Nye is now making his way round. Max right, slowest so far.
Indeed, and Zampolini there crosses the line. Also fastest man of the session there. Zampolini setting the pace with a 2:17.7. A few adjustments to the Discord and stream so that we can make sure that we can hear a bit more of Lexi and less of the stream. But Zampolini there already gone away for a little bit. He's come back and he's top of the session with no weight on board. Matthew Duffin as well. A decent lap time from him for a man who's come to Circuit of the Americas multiple times and has always struggled here. Fernie has not put a lap time on the board yet as he crosses the line. And this is another thing. Some people suit to this circuit, some people don't. And I know for a fact Matthew Duffin did test this place. We're currently on board with Kneebone as he exits the final corner. To the line he comes, currently 20th. He crosses the line and it's going to be no lap time on the board, but Zampolini and Tordok looking strong, and Skunky goes up into P3. It's nice to see Skunky finally get that pace back. He's been off the pace quite a while. Obviously back a couple of seasons ago he was really giving myself a hard time in the Lexus, and he's now back to true form, I think, is Skunky by the looks of things.
Wait and see what he's going to be able to do tonight, because of course it comes down to, yes, you can have a good start in qualifying, but something can happen in the race, and we've seen it so many times happen in real life and in sim racing. At turn number 1, it is practically 180. It's over nearly a 360 or 180, whichever orientation you want to take it on. If we're going to go from the apex, it's technically round about 120-degree rotation on the car as you head through it, but of course you get different measurements wherever you take it, just like in real life, where apparently Austria is 8 miles longer according to the FAA, but now in real life, but according to the drivers, it stayed exactly the same. So measurements can be a key factor, but Fernie's making his way through now. One of the drivers yet to get a lap time in. Only the top 19 have set a lap time so far. Of course, Betterson back into the pit lane. Tardok still P2, Matthew Duffin P number 3. Pretty high up for a man who seems to detest this circuit.
Yeah, he was saying in the chat earlier, I was in the chat with him, and he had no hope tonight, thinking he's really going to struggle, and at the minute he's P3 with the weight on board. Zampolini, meanwhile, at 2:16.9. That shows his pace tonight and how strong he is looking. Hooper had a big moment coming out the final corner, and your championship leader at the minute, O'Reilly, seems to be struggling at the minute. P9 at the moment, but obviously we'll see how he gets on. He's a much better racer than I think actually a qualifier, so we'll see how he gets on later on. We're on board with Hoffner at the minute, who doesn't improve, but Goudet does. He now goes to P7, while we then got the rest of the pack coming in. And I feel like as well, obviously with the mixed match of the level of drivers here, a lot of the pro drivers obviously really showing their class, but I think the silver drivers are really showing some actual class compared to some of the big boys. You know, this is a great opportunity to kind of psych themselves out and kind of see where they kind of match with the big boys. And at the minute, I think most of the silver boys are giving the guys a bit of a hard time. But in the end, it is still Zampolini fastest, while everyone else is relatively close. He's pretty much on his own at the minute as you wait for a couple more cars to come into the final sector.
I mean, it's definitely one of those things, and if you are new here and you are just tuning in to watch, or you may have forgot, it's gold, silver, and bronze classification in the GT4s. In the GT3s, you have amateur. I can never remember them properly because I only do Pro-Am, and I know I'm Am. But you've got, in the GT4, it's gold, silver, and bronze. The gold drivers are classified on the timing board as the white number plates with black numbers. The silver drivers are the grey number plates with white numbers, and the bronze drivers are the red number plates with black numbers. That's how you can tell the differential. It's a bit of a silver-dominated field out here. Only, if I'm looking at this correctly, we've got 2 further down who have not got lap times on the board. So only 9 gold drivers out there on the circuit, which makes it quite an interesting one with all the silvers out there. But as you said, Zampolini's still up there. He's fastest overall at this moment in time. You were talking about O'Reilly. He's currently P number 10, 3 silvers in front of him, but he's coming through these final few corners now. It's going to be interesting to see if there is going to be an improvement for him in the number 74, but it all comes down to it as the 181 seemingly at the moment up at the top of the circuit at the hairpin onto the back straight. So it's going to be an interesting one there as he goes down to P number 11, but up into P number 4 goes Kyle O'Reilly, championship leader for Dapper Racing, 1.077 off the top time. Snai P2, less than a second now behind the leaner of Zampolini. First of the drivers here to do so as the checker flag falls now here in qualifying 1.
Yeah, it is, and Smith was the first one to cross the line. Hoffner goes into P12. We've got another driver coming to the line. That was Cranes. He ends up in a 16th place position in the end. Millington goes in up to 17th place position, so time is being found by some of the drivers. As obviously the way this works here at SimPlay Motorsport for the Whodarron Cup, there is no need to pit on this one. Skunky now improves as well, as does Snai. So Snai ends up in 2nd place on that one. And these hotter conditions, it does not seem to be phasing Zampolini whatsoever. He has got a good car underneath him by the looks of things. A couple of cars coming into the final sector now. We've got Storok and Benedict Varga. So these guys still yet to put a lap time on the board. And here they come now. So Storok comes to the line. Is that a time on the board? It is, but it's not quick enough. And Benny Varga in the end goes in 18th place position. While coming into the final sector now is that of Gary Leach. And I've got to mess around with this thought. It's not a relevant one. And Gary Leach now exits the final corner for Audio Sport. Is that a lap time on the board? Yes, it is. 19th place position. And we'll see how Gary gets on with turn number 1. He tends to get a little bit too excited at turn number 1. As Marston now coming to the final corner. And what can he produce here? Just ahead of him is Aberdeen as well. Aberdeen crosses the line, and I think he does improve. Yes, he does. He goes to 19th. Marsden does not get a lap time on the board. We just now wait for Hoopert, I believe. Yes, there he is, sliding his way through the final corner. And what can he do? He goes to 6th with Matt Wright just behind him. Can he find some pace in it? Yes, he can, but he can only go to 8th in the end. And finally, it is O'Reilly, still a second down on the best. But that lap time, though, Lexi, from Zampolini is impressive.
Yeah, well, you got to wonder, is O'Reilly going to be able to beat it? He is validated, but it's only P3. Did get within a second, but just unfortunately not unable to get to the top. Zampolini will be the driver who will line up on pole position here in race number 1, followed by Snai on the same row as him. O'Reilly sits P3 as championship leader. And it's Tardok Skunky, Hooper Duffin, Matt Wright as the first silver driver. And then it's John Gooday and Rob Ramsell will round out the top 10. We'll go through the grid order properly when we do eventually get on the formation lap, which is going to be happening in about 2 minutes' time. Do not forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications to make sure you are notified when we go live here at SimPlay Motorsport. Of course, it's brought to you by Design Manchester and Audio Sport. More information about them down in the description of this live stream or VOD if you are watching after the fact. Of course, you don't just have the Whodarron Cup, you got Pro-Am, which is brought to you by, of course, the man who is in the commentary box with me, Dan Davies. And then you've also, for Pro-Ams on Wednesday nights, And then you have also got the pros with Sweet and Sticky. It's Kelly Davis and Matthew Duffin who bring you all the action on those nights. And so don't forget to stick with us for this as we get ready to go racing here. As I'm just going to rejoin real quick because I accidentally clicked drive by accident. And Dan, we've already got a poll up. It's going to be an interesting one. Who do you think we're going to see on top tonight?
You can't look past the man himself on pole position. Zampolini, no way on board. I think he's looking strong, he's looking confident, and I don't see very much little mistakes of track limits from him either. I think most laps he did was valid, so I think it's going to either be Zampolini, unless he makes a mistake. I think Snai is looking very, very competitive. The more and more we see Snai in each session, including the pros, he's looked mighty in the pros as well in that Mercedes-Benz. So Snai improving every week, and I think eventually he will start to really give a bit of a headache to the pros. But for me, it's got to be the man Zampolini who's on pole. But my eyes are now on Tordok. Obviously, Tordok signed up as a reserve this season initially because he was unsure about what his work plans were going to be and how if he was able to commit to the full season. Obviously, due to work being able to change and suit him a little bit better, he has committed to the full season and he is there in that championship fight. So it's interesting to see how him, O'Reilly and Hooper, all the close guys, are part of the MSA group, to see how they all pan out in that. But for me, Zampolini is going to look strong for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to agree. That lap time in qualifying says it all. So I think for him, he just has to keep his nose clean at turn number 1 and just hope for it. Because as long as he can get a gap through that first sector, then it is going to be him on top. And with that clean air, it's going to be an interesting one. The order for the race start will go as followed. As it currently stands, it's Tardot. It is okay. It's ACC doing ACC things.
Yeah, Tordok zoomed off and got to the sector first, so it's all gone a bit wrong. So, yeah, ignore that.
Gotta love it. Gotta love ACC. Gotta love ACC and its timing things, don't we?
Yeah, well, ideally we could do with the drivers staying in their positions, but yeah. Anyway, it is go for it. Go and run through the order there, Lexi, and I'll make sure I can nail each driver as you go through.
I will have to let you do that because I had to reload, so I have lost qualifying results on my screen.
On pole position for the first race tonight, Zampolini on pole. He's got Snai joining alongside him. Then it's going to be O'Reilly in P3. Then we got Tordok in P4 with Hooper in P5. Skunky is going to be in that P6 position with Duffin sat in P7. Part of the SimPlay Racing Group and Quantum Motorsport. That is right in P8 with John Goudet in P9, just ahead of Robert Ramsell, rounding out your top 10. Langley is going to start in 11th place position with Hoffner in 12th. Bolton sat in 13th place position with Stardog in 14th. Fernie sat in that 15th place position with Aberdeen starting in 16th. Cranes will start in 17th place position with Millington in that 18th. Gary Leach will start in 19th place with Varga in that 20th position. 21st will be Bell with Smith starting 22nd ahead of Betterson, ahead of Storrock in 24th. Then we got Dan Taylor in 25th, Clarball in 26th, with Tipping in 27th, Sylph down in 28th, with Carlos in 29th, Kneebone in 30th, and Marston in 21st, with Johnson rounding out the cars in 32 position. And that is a run of your grid. And guys, if you like what you see here, please like and subscribe to the channel. Yes, we've made it to 1,000 subscribers, but obviously we'd like to get as many as we possibly can. Let's go for that 2,000 mark next as well. Obviously, if you do want to be a part of the action here at SimPlay Motorsport, then head over to the SimGrid and be a part of the action there. And make sure you sign up and get yourself involved. Make sure you do your hot stints, because if you do not do the hot stint, we cannot categorize you correctly and we can't put you in the correct group. So make sure you do that. And if you do want to be a part of the team here at SimPlay Motorsport, we always need more help. Whether you're a commentator, a steward, graphics, social media, anything like that. Reminder, it is a club as such, a community, so you'd be doing it voluntary. It was not paid, so it's just helping run the league. But you can have a look at that as well, as we now get the drivers into the penultimate corner and the final corner, as we're about to go racing here in America, Austin, Texas, for round 4 of the season. It is Zampolini and Snai on the front row. It is an old Whodarron Cup Championship. We now wait for the green here at Austin, Texas, here at COTA. And we are green and go here at COTA as we head up towards turn number 1, and Zampolini gets the start he needed. Meanwhile, Hooper and O'Reilly are looking to pressurise Tordok as they all head up towards the tight turning turn 1. Can everybody negotiate this turn 1 relatively easy? Looking like we are, as Varga is the only one who's had a little bit of a moment as everyone else manages to work their way through the hairpin, and relatively clean through there as they all work their way down towards the S's of Maggots and Beckett's copied section, and flying through the section we go. We've got a couple of cars going off, but more likely we're all relatively clean and through the S's as well. It looks fairly good so far as we got, I think that's Wright going off, and Ramsel's gone off, as has Goudet, and into the wall with some big damage as well. Ramsel looking a little bit stuck there as Leach also struggling. There's a lot of cars trying to get back on circuit. As you can see, the car is just getting a little bit loose, but Zampolini with the start he needed and pulling away from Sty as Tordok has jumped O'Reilly at the start of that race.
Yeah, most definitely a big jump there. Matt Wright under pressure down the inside. Goes plenty of other cars down into the braking zone. It's going to become quite an interesting one. Rob Ramsell is going to have to deal with that damage. Full rear end into the barrier heading it when he in that collision. So it comes an interesting one. John Goudet also down and done. Going to be locked in a battle further back here as we wait for the ACC timings to properly update to catch where all these drivers truly are at. John Goudet falls down lots and lots of positions, but this is where it comes down to it. He will hold on to that position further back down into the braking zone at the end of the hairpin though, and at the end of the straight, Rob Smith is going to be on a big defence there as we go now down the inside. Kneebone is also there looking for a chance to get by. Rob Smith going to go very, very deep. It's wheel to wheel, side by side with Kneebone. Up and under is an opportunity through this double left-hander, but not so much. Does go wide. That is the championship leader, I think, but Aberdeen going to slide his way through as he actually loses out here, and he's now got another one of the Quantum Motorsport cars. That's Steve Millington. A lot better start than his teammate Matt Wright. So it is going to be interesting to see how that will fare up for Quantum. Wheel to wheel, side by side. Varga, good jump into the final corner.
Yeah, a lot of action happening. Even though you're talking about the guys at the front, there's a lot of action happening towards the front as well, as O'Reilly has dropped down the order. Tordok has as well, and Duffin has moved his way up into the top 4 position. Meanwhile, John Goudet slow there and allowing some cars through. I don't know if he's coming to a complete start as Ramsel's gone to the pits. So Rob Ramsel clearly obviously can't handle the damage. We see there Bell hitting the curb so hard he ends up flying, but Zampolini pulling away from Sny, and quite a healthy gap over Hooper as now Tordok starts to hunt down Duffin, and Skunky sticking with the leaders as well. So the guys fighting out the front quite a bit, but not as much as it was down towards the back of the pack. It's Sylph and Carlos are on a recovery drive at the minute, but relatively clear. A couple of door banging here and there, but relatively clean for most of that one. But we are underway here, and already these guys are pushing the limits of these cars, and possibly the tyres are screeching already.
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. Varga right now locked in an MSA sandwich. It is going to be Sylph who leads in front of him. Still trying to chase down Bell. Bell going over the curb a little bit to lose out. Looks for a move down the inside as Carlos. Very deep goes Sylph. That's going to give Varga an opportunity. Up and under, done and dusted. That's how you get a move done onto the back straight. Now the question is, how will MSA play this? Do they work together? As in the background as well, you can see Keynes and Kneebone going to be going side by side down the back straight. Going to be locking in that battle. The two silver drivers fighting for this overall. Down into the braking zone. Down the inside goes Kneebone. Lovely jubbly, sound as a pound. And that is how it's done. And that is going to be absolutely lovely. Rob Smith also now coming up behind him as he leads the amateur, as he leads the bronze drivers. How is that going to fare up for him? Still running the pink on his livery, which of course he brought in from Zandvoort.
Obviously as well, I think you were talking about the Varga move with Sylph. I think actually Varga kind of gained a little bit of advantage by push to pass. Obviously Sylph bouncing on the curb, car was in the air, and Varga gave him the little tap to push him wide. And I think Varga got a little bit cheeky there myself personally, but we see as PN just literally says literally what I just said as well. So a little bit of advantage there I think from Varga due to the car being in the air, but meanwhile Tordok is putting the pressure on Duffin as they head up towards turn number 1, and Right now, Tordok can't find a way through at the minute. He has to be patient. He has to think of the championship. His teammate at the minute, his rival at the minute further back. Meanwhile, Bolton is on the back of Hofner, and a lot of pride going to be in the silver category. Can they pressurise the other cars? There's Fernie looking to make a move on Leach as they go towards the fast-flowing S's, and right now, Leach can't find a way through. Fernie can't find a way through. He actually hinders himself a little bit, and Aberdeen looked like he had a little bit of a sniffing opportunity, but Silt already back onto the rear of Benny Varga, as you can see a lot of cars already sliding and just struggling for grip at this stage, as you see Varga now attacking Bell, which is going to give Silt a good opportunity to get a little bit of a tow and possibly kind of outsmart the pair of them and get a position through here.
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise, 40-degree track temperature, 34-degree ambient, but it's an optimum track surface, so how will they be faring up? Looks for a move down the inside, makes his intentions clear, but on the brakes a little too early. Is that going to hinder him? He's got Sylph and Carlos right behind him. Sylph's going to hop in the toe. How is that going to work for him? But you see as we head through down the back straight, all the cars coming through. You've got one, you've got another. It's a big old train of Ginettas. But we now head down towards
look to the front, because we got Duffin attacking Hooper now, and Hooper is under pressure because he's got Tordok there as well, and O'Reilly, and Skunky's just on the back of him as well. Sorry to butt in there, Lexi, but it's getting really hot towards the front, and Duffin now went on the attack, has to now defend from Tordok, as all five of them are relatively close to one another, and Skunky is just sitting back watching this all happen. But Zampolini and Snai long gone into the distance.
No surprise, that's what happens when you fight. You end up fighting each other, you end up losing time to other cars. And this is now what's becoming the interesting part. Who is starting to catch up? Leach still trying to chase down Stardog. That's going to give Fernie and Aberdeen an opportunity. Millington also in that fight. Bell still defending from Benedict Varga, but a little bit too much on the curb as Varga does smell it in the water. Well, goes for a move down the inside, will squeeze, is Bell, but now up and under. Sylph looks for an opportunity. We saw it happen. Varga got that move done on Bell, but now he has to defend his wheel to wheel, side by side, heading down the main straight. Possibly free wide if it looks for it down the middle. Does Bell, not going to be there for him. Bell goes down the middle, free wide there, too wide momentarily. Doesn't work out, loses out to Carlos, who now tries to get on the back of Varga. Bell also loses out to Nebo now that first corner, so tried to go free wide to keep it with him, ended up losing more than he wanted. Rob Smith also now there. This has turned from a freeway fight to a battle of 6 or 7 cars.
Very smart driving there from Silt and from Carlos there, picking up positions where the others were pushing a little bit too hard. Meanwhile, Hooper has pulled a little bit of gap on Duffin, and while all that's been going on, Skunky has now cleared O'Reilly. So once again, O'Reilly losing another position, started in P3. He's now down to P7, so that weight possibly starting to hurt him a little bit, as we've got Tordok trying to get into the toe of Duffin. And a reminder, all these guys but Skunky at the minute are all carrying weight on board their car, so all of them must be suffering a little bit with a little bit of slow pace down on the straights. But Skunky looking like he wants to give it a go, and Duffin looks up the inside briefly on Hooper. I don't know if that was maybe a slight miss in the brakes, but he did have a little sniffing opportunity. Meanwhile, Millington just getting on the back of Aberdeen. But we go back to this chaotic fight on the back, where we've got Stardog dropping down the order, and now looking like he's fighting against Bell and Cranes and Smith.
An up and under, he got through that earlier on. Bell now on the defences, Ken Smith as well. Of course, even though there's different classes, it's all overall points, so it's just to show who is where. But even now, it seems like Rob Smith is showing up a little bit of the silver drivers, as they do now continue.
Oh, Carlos is off.
Also,
Carlos is off big time. I don't know if that's contact with knee bone possibly, but he is off and facing the wrong way as we go back towards the front. Once again, Hooper just struggling at the minute for raw pace, and he's got Duffin and Tordog and Skunky once again, and just O'Reilly just sticking to the back, not being able to really show his intent. And Duffin now looks to the inside of turn number 1. Hooper's going to try and cut up and under, try and swoop back underneath, but Duffin should have the advantage by being on the inside for then the right hand left-hander. He then's going to run him a little bit wide, but Hooper will have the inside for the first part of the flowing S's. And once again, Hooper, brilliant drive there, very smart driving, but Duffin also a great attack, but did not work out. Tordok has to look up the inside, but can't seem to find a way through.
Just going through the replay here a little bit, and I don't know if it was contact or netcode. It seems like he dipped into the ground a little bit for the car that we saw off. But of course, being the MSA driver of Carlos. So maybe the replay doing a little bit of a awkward thing there, but I'm trying to figure out who that was who might have hit him. It may, if there was a hit, it was with Kneebone, because his car just veered off to the left. Or there's an invisible bump in the road that we have no idea about. But that is what happened with the MSA driver. So that does create an interesting atmosphere of how that will happen. Matthew Duffin, though, as you've been talking about, still seeking a fight on that podium. Tardok also there, as all the way at the back, every single one of these drivers is not giving up on each other yet. But even now, it seems like it's opened up a little bit. As down the inside, it's going to be Suro, as these drivers are having a little fight back here for seemingly for the position of P23, as they're going to go down the back straight right up against each other. And it does create an interesting opportunity for 5 drivers. We've got plenty here. We've got Sturrock, who's seemingly actually losing out positions here. He's lost out the tipping on the back straight. Pedersen now looks to remove around the outside. Matt Wright has an opportunity. John Gooday very late on the brakes, almost into the back of the other cars. So that got very spicy there in those little dying moments.
Duffin, meanwhile, while you're talking about that, did get past Hooper in that tight left-hander, the famous left-hander where Lando Norris got pushed off by Max Verstappen. And obviously we've got these new rules for Formula 1, but Duffin now poor exit out of the final corner, and Tordok is on the back of him. He's in the tow. Matthew is in trouble as they head up towards turn number 1, and Tordok shows his intent. He's going down the inside, up towards the hairpin they go. Tries to be later on the brakes, but Duffin much better on the brakes and manages to stay ahead. Now Hooper looks for the cut and under, and once again Skunky and O'Reilly just watching what happens as Hooper now going around the outside of Tordok through turn number 2, and once again is not able to just get alongside Tordok, and he's going to lose a little bit of momentum here, and that's going to allow Skunky to get onto the back of him, and his championship rival and teammate O'Reilly is just behind them as well. But really great racing from these guys. Close racing, but given the respect they need. And Duffin at the minute in P3, Tordok in P4 with Hooper at P5, Skunky P6 and O'Reilly in P7. But your running order at the minute at the 7.5 minute mark as Varga gets a drive through for track limits is Zampolini with the fastest lap ahead of Snai, ahead of Duffin, and Tordok under pressure now from Hooper in that 4th and 5th place. Skunky is 6th, O'Reilly 7th, 8th is Hoffner, 9th is Bolton, and 10th is Langley. Leach is just on the back of this group as well in 11th. Aberdeen meanwhile has lost positions to Silth, and that looks like he's going wheel to wheel with Millington, so he's going to lose the position to Millington as well, so he drops down to 14th place position with Varga 15th, Nebo 16th, Stardog 17th, Cranes 18th, 19th, Smith, Bell is now in 20th, Taylor 21st, Clarball 22nd with Tipping 23rd. Storick now about to lose the position to Matt Wright around the outside with Betterson, Goudet, Marsden, Johnson, Carlos, Ramsel, and that is your grid order. We've lost a driver already in this one, but that is your running order at the moment.
And apologies, we've got to move down the inside. Skunky looks for it. Tardok did get past Matthew Duffin, but Matthew Duffin fought it back. Skunky now into the triple apex right-hander. Round the outside, you don't see a lot of moves done there, because for the exact reason that you just saw, the rear end slips out and you lose that momentum. O'Reilly now is going to be ahead of Skunky, and that just did not work out for him, so that is unfortunate and will not be for him. Zampolini leads with a 5.1 second gap. It is in his hands to win this race, while these battles continue further back. I think your prediction was right, Dan, but we'll have to wait and see, as right now it's Dapper versus Dapper, Hooper versus Riley. Riley looks for the inside line, gets covered off by his teammate, and it's not there for him. Into the pit lane comes Varga to serve that drive-through penalty out. It looks like they're going to be having at least one per race. From what we're seeing from how much these drivers are absolutely pushing each other around this circuit, and now making their way through the first of the S's is going to be this train of Matthew Duffin, Tardok, Hooper, O'Reilly, Skunky, And maybe, just maybe, we've got Hoffer, Bolton, Langley, Leach, Silver, Millington, who are starting to catch up to that train. I think we've got an interesting final 5 minutes to come our way.
Indeed we do, and just to comment as well how well Silth has managed to work his way through the order. He's up to 12th now, from starting from the back of the grid, and so he's worked his way forward. And Gary Leach now looking to make a move on Langley, who's been driving phenomenally in the Pro-Am category. He's in the Ginettas tonight, and obviously a lot harder category for himself due to the fact that we got the pro drivers in here as well. And I think we've lost a driver there. I think Langley was a little bit laggy by the looks of things, but we have lost another driver, I think. So that's the 30th position, 30 cars now left. But Leach now looking to attack the inside of Langley as they go down towards the left-hander and try and brake later. He possibly can. Langley though on the brakes as well, and Leach gets up the inside and job done. Langley has to conceive and wait for an opportunity to come back through again, but meanwhile Tordok has started to bring the gap back down to Duffin once again as they all start to slowly work their way through the order. As we see there, Kneebone goes very wide as well. What other fights we've got going on? We've got Clarble now onto the back of Bell, who's being held up by a little bit by Taylor as well.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, we've got so many fights across the field, it's hard to keep up with them, so we do apologise if we do not catch your little fights. But making their way through is everybody else. Betterson, Marsden, Sturrock is actually... Betterson is very deep on the exit at the end of the main straight, so he loses out to Marsden, loses out to Johnson, Varga, and he's now fighting Varga, but Varga, lovely done through the right-hander, so that is unfortunate for Betterson. So what has happened there? Rob Ramsell, slowest, has he made his way? No, he is 2 laps down. I was wondering what happened to Rob. He got caught up in that lap. What? It's a Dapper car off at turn number 1. I'm trying Hooper off at turn number 1 into the gravel. Car completely stops. That does not look natural at all, because you would think he would turn left. What has happened to Hooper? As O'Reilly is now, everybody's going to get promoted up a position. He's still there in the gravel, so
also
there with 3 minutes left on the clock.
Also, more importantly, Tordok has got back past Duffin, so Duffin losing out there to Tordok was in a podium position. It is now slipped out of his fingers and it's gone the way of Tordok. Now, can he come back in? That's the question, as O'Reilly now once again under some immense pressure from Skunky, who wants that position back and has found a new lease of life here in the last couple of weeks. So it's nice to see Skunky really putting the pressure on the top guys and working back towards his platinum status in the pro category. He's currently gold at the minute and he is working to work his way up, but the plat at the minute looking strong in the top 6, with Sylph now in that 11th place. But your leading silver driver at the minute is Hoffner, and you can see now Skunky has to go to the outside. Is Duffin a little bit later on the brakes? He is, and he makes contact with Tordok. They both go off. Duffin's gonna have to give that position up because he did force him off track, and he does, which then brings the rest of the pack up together. And once again, O'Reilly and Skunky are there and thereabouts, and it's going to be close to the end here. And as the more they slide, the more the tyres are going to get hot. Meanwhile, Zampolini coming through the final few sectors here, and he's going to start his final lap. He has looked forward and not looked back, as has Snai, and everyone else has been fighting it out left, right and centre. Who else has got fights going on at the minute? Stardog was on the back of Kneebone as your leader now starts his final lap, and we got Matt Wright who's ahead of I think that's Tipping now, so Tipping dropping down the order, and Benedict Varga looking to make a move on Johnson as he got a yellow flag. That is Hooper, who's still off at the turn 1, but Duffin now under some immense pressure from O'Reilly as they head up towards turn number 1.
Yeah, most definitely. We still don't know what's happening there. I tried to look inside the car to see if I could see anything on the dash. Apparently speed is 0, oil pressure is low, so maybe running out of fuel, misjudging it, but no idea what's happened to him. Round the outside, Skunky looks for it on O'Reilly. It's down to O'Reilly now, the only Dapper Racing car still out there on the lead lap on this circuit. So it's down to him to pick up the points for the team. Out of the points, apart, he will only pick up 1 point.
Bolton looked to the inside of the S's there and nearly had a move on Hoffner, as you were talking about Hooper being parked out, but Bolton looking to try and be the top silver driver here. Sorry to button in on there, Lexi, but that was really close going into the S's.
Quite all right. I mean, on the final lap as well, MSA Racing Carlos into the pit lane as well, so we've got one. So yeah, it was Carlos who disconnected. We've got him back now. He's sat in the pit lane as these drivers all have a fight against each other. Of course, you got to remember, BTCC style, only 20-minute races, so we got 3 of those. This is the first of the 3, and so it's gonna be retribution then for some of these drivers looking to improve around this circuit. As down the back straight, Matthew Duffin's gonna have to defend. Skunky looking for O'Reilly, but it comes down to it realistically, as we've got to pay attention as he's coming through the final sector now, looking for the outside line is Skunky, but it's not working out that time either. Up and under is going to be the only opportunity he is going to have, but all eyes now go to Zampellini as 663 gets a drive-through penalty for track limits, but he's not inside the top 10, so we won't tarnish him too much. But into the final corner, fastest lap, pole position, race 1 in the bag, 2 and 3 on the way. Zampellini, domination, 8.4, wins here at COTA race number 1, as Matthew Duffin still holding on. O'Reilly versus Skunky still having a fight into these final few corners.
Yeah, Snide crosses the line and wins that one, and I think Toro is safe for that 3rd place, as Duffin will get 4th as well. But here comes O'Reilly and Skunky, and in the end O'Reilly will face him off, and a brilliant drive from these guys. O'Reilly takes that 5th place ahead of Skunky. Then it's going to be Hoffner to win out that silver war against Bolton, then Leach, then Langley. Silf in the end recovering back to a P11 position, with Millington in that 12th place position. Aberdeen, another strong drive from him. He's going to come home for that 13th place position, just ahead of Kneebone and Stardog. Smith, your leading bronze driver, coming home in that 16th place position, with Cranes in 17th, Taylor in 18th, Clarball 19th, Bell in that 20th position, ahead of Matt Wright, who Ramsell was a lap down. Goudet is going to finish in 22nd, ahead of Tipping, ahead of Marshall, who's actually gone wide and is going to lose out to Benedict Varga. Storrock, not quite, so Marston is going to lose out to Varga here, as Varga just gets him on the line, as Marston will get 25th. 26th will be Storrock. Johnson comes into the pits, but too little too late. Betterson will finish in 28th. Ramsell 29th. Hooper not finishing, and Carlos continuing on, as Fernie was the other car we lost as well. And that is that, but Zampellini taking the win there. And what a first race that was. A lot of drama, a lot of racing, and yeah, in the end Zampellini looked absolutely mighty there, Lexi.
I just want to point this out. Does somebody want to get the recovery truck out, because Hooper's still in the gravel?
I'm sure we'll sort some form of recovery out for him, but that is that. That was the first race, and we're going to obviously be waiting a while, but a very dramatic race indeed. We're going to go to a quick break. We're going to get to obviously the highlights up on the stream in a minute, but don't go anywhere. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. And like I said, we'll be back in a few moments' time.
line. Go, go, go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and a little bit of a delay there as we just misjudged where the practice session was, but we are back, we are ready to go, and into the next qualifying session we go. And Lexi, this one is going to be important because they've only got 7 minutes, and COTA is a 2-minute lap, and already they've been out and they've nearly lost 2 minutes already.
Well, you're only going to really expect 2 proper runs here because your first one is never usually as good. So you're going to have to hope for the best. Aberdeen only just coming out of the pit lane now. Still some drivers in the pits. So how is that going to count out and together? Of course, we saw it in race number 1 though, Dan. So, of course, all eyes are going to be on the man, the myth, the legend, the man who was on top. It's going to be Zampolini, as I'm trying to find him on my timing board.
He is further down the thing. He is down, I think, near the back, I think. I can't find him myself, he's disappeared.
13.
There he is, 13.
There he was avoiding our gaze. He was avoiding our gaze there for a second. I think he knows that we said that he would win race 1, but then again, we know what the commentator's curse can be like, don't we? So that's going to be the man to watch. However, Tardok is going to be the first driver who will be setting a lap time here. I went through the lap time in the first qualifying session, Dan, so I'll let you have this one.
Yeah, so as we come down the back straight, we will go on board with the man that has been looking quite quick tonight. That is Zampolini as he heads down the main straight as I try and get my cameras to work properly as we head up towards turn number 1, braking for the entry of turn 1, making sure you hit that apex as best you can and make sure you don't run out too wide on the exit and spinning up the rear tyres. Get the front to turn in on turn 2 and then through the magical Maggots and Beckett section, hugging the first part, opening up the second bit and carrying that speed. Try not to go over the white line because that will give you a invalid lap time, and then carry that speed into the next tricky uphill section. The car is going light, it's not happy. The track temperature now 41 degrees. It is hotting up as you're going into this really tight right-hander. As it tightens up, it then opens up to a left-hander. Car's unstable, the curb wants to throw you out, but Zampolini looking stable, looking smooth, and gets a good exit through there, heading down to another good overtaking opportunity, the hairpin. You want to leave it as late as you possibly can to turn in to get the best exit, because the exit is more important than the entry there as you then head down towards the back straight, the famous back straight where Fernando Alonso came into contact with a fellow driver and ended up doing a wheelie in his Aston Martin. But down the main straight we go, and then down to the left-hander of the Verstappen-Lando incident, and make sure you hit that braking point, hit the apex, try and get a good smooth exit, don't run too wide, those sausage curbs will undisturb the car, and then into the Hockenheim section. Try and get the front end to grip up. It's going to go loose once again as it's struggling to turn in, then into another tricky couple of corners here. And again, making sure you get a late apex to get the best run through there. Into the famous Istanbul right-hander, the opposite way around than it goes, the right-hander carrying the speed in, coming off the throttle, allowing the front end to just turn back in and then getting on the power as soon as you possibly can to open up the penultimate corner, which if you've nailed the lap, this could all where it goes wrong, and through the section he goes. Don't run too wide, make sure you keep it in track limits. He's gained on Tordok, so another good lap by the looks things here from Zampolini, and make sure you get another late apex. A lot of late apex corners here as Tordok sets the pace there and goes first, but Zampolini once again back into the 16s and he goes top of the board there.
Yeah, lots of different drivers out there. Rob Smith going through the final few corners, top in the bronze, as you've seen in the first race. Also top of bronze in qualifying 1. Can he make it 1 for 1? Yes, he can. Top of the bronze so far. 5.1 off the top time, though. And looking at the lap times already, top 4, less than a second. That's a lot closer than the first qualifying session we had, Dan. But still got lots of drivers. Fernie making his way through the final corner now. Number 43 on the Ginetta goes to the line. Fernie does not get a lap time on the board. That will not be for him. Bolton now making his way through on a brand new lap. Ken's now going to be coming through the final corner. Does he get a lap time on? Yes, he does. P number 9 over all. Varga now into the final corner. Is there going to be an improvement for him? He has to break that time up at the top of Zampolini, 2:16.2920. He does not. 2.417 off the top. So it's creating quite a ruckus of how far up Zampolini is being around this circuit. Is it foreshadowing for the rest of the season? Stardog making their way through into the left-hander now at the final corner. Are they going to get a lap time on for the Blunt Force Racing car? And no lap time on the board for them either. It does create an interesting one, but I want to bring attention to one man we haven't really talked about so far with this evening. We've seen Wutikin doing the Pro-Ams, but it seemingly does not convert to the Ginettas, Dan. Bolton is on a flying lap, no lap time on the board yet.
No, he's just struggling at the minute, but though he's been up there in the race in the previous race 1. But we'll see how he gets on in this one as Gary Leach crosses the line and he now goes into 7th place position. But once again, it is Zampolini setting the pace here, and Tordok once again sat in P4, and O'Reilly now sitting in the 2nd place. Snai once again looking good, looking competitive in that group of cars again. And Zampolini further back goes very wide, but we are on board with Tordok. These are your last laps, and Zampolini is done. Tordok comes to the line. Has he improved? He has. He gets within 6/10 of Zampolini, but he will not get any closer than that. O'Reilly is done for the session, as you got Duffin and Snai coming to the line. Duffin does improve and goes P9, as Snai now goes into P3 and gets ahead of O'Reilly. Goudet, meanwhile, losing out in the end of that one, losing time, and he's off the circuit. Crossing the line now is a few of the cars. That was Smith going to 13th, Hoffner goes into 16th, and Bolton in the end only 10th, as you've got a couple more cars coming to the line here, and I believe one of them is Millington and Skunky goes to the line. He goes 5th place. Ramsel in the end goes only 11th with that one. And who else we still got to come across the line? We've got a few. Aberdeen is the last of the drivers to put a lap time on the board.
Stardog will be.
Say again?
Stardog is last driver who will be coming to the line.
Stardog, yeah, there he is. So we got Aberdeen first coming to the line, currently down in 18th place position. And we'll see what he can do there. As Fernie, I think, had a little bit of internet issues tonight as Aberdeen crosses the line. He does improve, but does not change position. As we've got Langley now coming to the line, Pro-Am leader of the championship, and no improvement, stays in 22nd. Did not get a lap time on the board. Stardog now, last one to produce the time. And where's that going to put him in the end? It puts him in 15th place position.
Oh, the pack. So Zampolini, who goes fastest in qualifying to 2 for 2 so far this evening, 2:16.920 is the top time. Then Tardok, who will line up alongside him. It's then Snai, O'Reilly, Skunky, Gooday, Hoffer, Leach, Duffin and Bolton will round out the top 10. We got a race coming your way real quick. I just need to deal with something.
As we get ourselves prepped and ready for a race 2. And I will get a poll going as well. Guys, there's not many people chatting in the chat now. Let's hear from you guys. You're very quiet this evening. I know it's very hot here in the UK. I don't know where it is in the rest of the world. But let's hear from you guys in the chat. You all seem to be very quiet this evening. And let's get your predictions on who you think is going to win this one. Obviously, we know that PN's been chatting in there. And nice to see you in the chat, PN. But obviously, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here. And there is your poll. But we are now getting ready for this next race, and Zampolini once again looking strong, looking comfortable, and ready to go racing.
I mean, Dan, you've put a poll up in the YouTube chat, but we are the commentators here. Let's get our predictions going. Personally, I think Zampolini's going to go 2 for 2. What are you thinking?
I think if Tordok gets a decent start and he gets up the inside of turn number 1, don't rule him out to get the job done there. I mean, Zampolini's got no weight on board. He's looking very, very fast. I think it's hard not to look past him, to be fair.
20 seconds.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see. He will go 2 for 2 if he wins this one. Can he make it a triple or a Gland Schlam if technically he wins 3 for 3, fastest lap, and he's on pole for race 3. But we've got to get race 2 before that. We've got the formation lap now getting underway here at the Circuit of the Americas as we wait for the drivers to leave the line. They will now do so. Zampolini leads them away. Tardok will line up in P number 2, Snipe P3, O'Reilly P number 4 for Dapper Racing, Greasy Bandits Racing, Skunky P number 5, John Gooday P number 6, Hoffer P7, Leach P8, Duffin P9, and Bolton P number 10. It's in Ramsell, Varga, Clarbel, Smith, Stardog, Keynes, Millington, Matt Wright, Aberdeen, Bell, Kneebone, Langley, Burney, Carlos, Silv, Marsden, Taylor, Bedison, Tipping, Sturrock, and Johnson, who will be back of the pack. No lap time on the board for 2Cs Racing, and it now becomes an interesting one because looking at this as well, 2Cs Racing is both drivers, 1 bronze, 1 silver. They are both starting at the very back, so 2Cs Racing is going to have a big charge through the field to do.
It has indeed a little bit of buffer there from the stream, but once again the MSA boys have got a lot of work themselves too. I don't know if they're choosing not to qualify or not. I can't remember I think they possibly might have a qualifying ban, but either way they've not chose to qualify. I'm just going to check my information. I believe so just guessing they're choosing not to qualify, but yeah, no information from me, so I don't know. They might have been told, I don't know, but either way Zampolini will start on pole position, and Torok, can he stop this charge from Zampolini, or will Zampolini get the jump again? Snide's looking very, very fast, and we'll see what he can do there. And Duffin a little less competitive this time round. He ended up behind a few of his good friends, and we'll see if he can stick with them. So yeah, we'll see how this race goes. I think it should be an interesting one nonetheless, and I think it looks very strong for Zampolini. Track temperature now up to 41 degrees. It's going to be an absolute scorcher, this one.
I mean, it's looking like a scorcher across the entire week at this current moment. So that is going to be the true question. How hot is it going to get? Because it's 41 degrees now. Is it going to get hot throughout the race? Is it going to get hotter into that final one? Tardok seemingly always getting a little bit ahead of Zampolini. So Zampolini taking it a bit more conservative, maybe knowing that you don't want to use the tyres too much on this formation lap, as it can be very easy to overheat them in these weather conditions. So we'll wait and see what will happen with them as we head through the Hockenheim section now on this formation lap. Like we stated, it's Zampolini on pole, Tardok P2, 2Cs Racing will be fighting their way through the field. Ramsell and Wright going to be looking for redemption here. Had an incident in race number 1, same with John Gooday, so they are going to be the stories to watch here at this race. Also Zampolini going 2 for 2, is that going to be a big factor? And as we do have in chat, Kriggs is on form, don't count out too early. That is a very good point, do not count anybody out too early here, as the leaders now head through penultimate and into final. This is the Circuit of the Americas, the only track in ACC with Formula 1 track limits. Championship leader Kyle O'Reilly sits P number 4, but it is about to become a whole lot more interesting. As the formation lap comes to an end, all drivers will now go double file. You don't go timing, you go checkered, and you wait for them to line. Coming through the final corner is the back of the grid as you see them. So now, here at COTA, here in Ginetta, Whodarron Cup, all eyes now go to the lights. Green flag drops and we're away. It's a very good start for Zampolini. Also good for Tardok. Gonna do a Formula 1 style look to the inside. Does not work out that time either. Snide's gonna look great. Kyle O'Reilly gonna look for around the outside. Gonna be right there with him. Locked in the draft. Maybe a little bit of contact with drivers further back. Already doomed through turn number 1. Seemingly clean. Yellow flags fly. Who's at a moment at the back? We'll have to catch up in that in no time. Heading now through. Tardok leads. Followed by Tardok sets P2, Zampolini leads, O'Reilly's up at a P number 3 as we head through the Maggers of Beckett, wheel to wheel, side by side, Hoffer, he's going to be locked in a fight, Matthew Duffin's also there, trying to fight their way through, Bowen seemingly losing out on the start, locked in that fight with Hoffer, making his way through. Stage P number 10 over to P number 9. Varga now in the background, going to stick right there with him. Rob Ramsdell also under threat. Clarbo spots an opportunity to take it through. Down and back, onto the back straight. Where is the opportunity? You go look for the inside line. Wheel to wheel, side by side. John Goodey fights his way through. Onto the back straight. The toe begins to play. Who is going to go? 3 wide in the background. You can see him right there. It's Leach. It's Snai. It's loads of drivers here, and it now continues high. Skunky going to be right there with him. Also going to move in the middle as John Goodey as he watches this from further back. Snai right in the middle. 3 wide down into the braking zone at the end of the back straight. Right there with him. 3-1-3 switches through. Nice little move there by Skunky. He's got it done and dusted. John Goodey now looks for an opportunity. Matthew Duffin also there, who's right alongside him. Bolton's there as well. Round the outside, Hoffer looking for the move on Varga. Varga up and under. Done and done. Looks for the inside now. Hoffer does not want to give that position up because he knows you're losing lap number 1. It's hard to get those positions back. Now through the Hockenheim section into the triple apex right-hander, making their fight done and dusted as everybody now goes single file. Try not to lose out here, but as we head through penultimate into final, Zampellini still leads, followed by Tardog and O'Reilly.
The MSA boys have been slowly working their way through the order, but it has been a bit of an interesting start to this race. Zampellini leads, but O'Reilly straight onto the back of the Tordok, even though he's carrying that weight on board. It's only 5 kilos different. Meanwhile, further back, that was Bennett Varga. He is off. He's in the final corner, and he's facing the wrong way. Everyone else is managing to avoid him. Meanwhile, Duffin is under pressure from Bolton, going up towards turn number 1 as Bolton looked to possibly make a move, but he's not quite close enough. Hoffner gets very close to the back of Bolton, but manages just to hold on. But Gary Leach, a brilliant start from him, and he tends to get a little bit better as the night gets on. The first one tends to be his tester, but he's had a brilliant start there, and he's up into P4, and he's got Snai right behind him, but it's Tordok and O'Reilly as Zampellini. As soon as he got into turn number 1, that was it. He was gone, and there's nothing the rest of the guys could do as they are on their way. And it's very close racing everywhere else. Ramsell's having a bit of better of a start this time. He's got Millington behind him, his good friend, and not far behind them is Smith as well. So it's relatively close for these guys as it's been some great racing so far. A little bit of pushy shovey here, but here goes Carlos around the outside of Marston. That'll be an impressive move if he gets the job done. And Marston will turn in. Carlos just gets the room done, and he gets sideways, and that's going to allow Sylph to come through as well. And there goes Taylor, I think, off in the background. Yes, it is, as the MSA boys are working their way through, and Sylph there once again, some clever, smart placing of his car, has managed to get past Marston and Carlos, and he moves up another position.
Up and under, Fernie looks for the move, trying to make it work down the back straight. As you said, the MSA boys, big damage on the front end of that Genetta for Taylor. Very unfortunate what happened there. Seemingly just not the right position. Too many cars into one corner. It's natural when it comes down to racing with this many cars on the circuit. All this action in just 5 minutes. Big contact. 30 into the back of Johnson. Almost making Johnson take out his own teammate. And that was very close. That could have ended very, very badly for the 2Cs Racing, who started at the very back of this grid. MSA also making their way through a little bit further back here. Now we got Carlos versus Sylph, unless team orders come into play. Multi-21 may come over to team radio, but that will most likely happen towards the end of the race. Bell now in P number 18, looking to get past Kneebone for P number 17, but not that time either. Rob Smith is making his way through. He's holding on to his positions very well, very high for a bronze driver, if you're going to go by classification. But Zampellini still leads, fastest lap and all. O'Reilly now falling off Tardok a little bit.
Does indeed. We're still on board with that fight between Kneebone and Bell. Bell looking very, very racy here. Meanwhile, just ahead of them, we see, I think that's Langley going very, very wide and losing out to Smith, I think. Yes or no, Smith's still there, but not able to get the run as Millington trying to pull away from this group of cars and sits at the back of Ramsell. But Tordok, meanwhile, still got the pressure of O'Reilly. Leach not able to get with them at the minute as Skunky's putting some pressure on Snai, and Snai obviously got the comfortable lead earlier on in race 1, but in this one he's really seems to be struggling with a little bit of traffic here as everyone else relatively close to one another.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if Carlos has some damage or something, because his car is incredibly slidey heading through sector number 1. Little bit deep does go Marsden. Here comes Johnson, looks for it round the outside. Do not go on the marbles. We know what happens when that happens. You lose all your grip. Very deep goes Sturrock. 30 sees it, takes advantage, goes through the gap which opened up, and that is beautiful racing between all these drivers down into the braking zone as you head onto the back straight. What is going to happen here with the MSA boys? What's going to happen with the 2C Racing? And then a little bit of a jump over the curb is, I believe, yes, it was Stardog. That gives Bearson an opportunity to fly through as they now go wheel to wheel, side by side, down the back straight. Also looking in the background, you got Matt Wright. He's had a moment earlier on as he's now on the back of Varga as they head down the main straight. Who has more damage? It looks like Varga. That is gonna hurt his racing. Heading now down the back straight, very close to each other as they're heading into the braking zone. Who's later on the brakes? Varga holds the inside line. He is ahead for the time being. Matt Wright also there, right up against each other. Matt Wright opts for the inside line into the Hockenheim section. Matt Wright will be ahead of Varga after that little complex. Or will he? Varga switches it back. Done and down. He's got Matt Wright move done and dusted. That is it for that. What else is happening all throughout the field as we've got so many drivers? Skunky seemingly getting past Snide or losing out to Leach as Leach leads the train of not one, not two, but 3, 4, 5, 6 cars. So it is going to be that little train of Leach with 5 astern.
Yeah, Leach looked like he lost the position to Snide earlier on because Snide did get ahead, but Skunky now onto the back of him instead. So Snide lost out, so lose the position back again to Leach, and Leach seems to be a little bit of a trully train as the fight between Torlock and O'Reilly continues on, and Zampanini zamping off into the distance, but Zampanini is definitely with that no weight on board, just seems to be finding a groove in this one, as Williams did put a comment about Zampanini there. Obviously probably saying how quick he is at this minute, but a very close fight, and all this being held up by Leach at the minute. Another close fight between Kneebone and Smith, and I believe Aberdeen now onto the back of Bell, so it's looking very, very good indeed, and that is right, Williams. Zampanini saying bye. If you added one more bye, it'd be an in sync reference there. And O'Reilly then still trying to find a way on Tordock. Both of them carrying a little bit of weight, so they're relatively even on pace. O'Reilly carrying a bit more, but either way, they are just seem to be struggling at this minute. I've not seen how Hooper has done in this one. I haven't even seen where Hooper is on the grid. I think he's not made the session. No, he hasn't. So we've lost Hooper earlier on.
Yeah, we've lost Hooper, but it's 31 drivers on the grid still. Looks to the outside through Hockenheim section. As to be honest, I don't even think these corners are named, as Langley very wide has given Millington an opportunity to sneak through that. So Langley had a moment coming out of that final few corners. Rob Smith still trying to fight his way through. P16 overall at this moment in time. MSA is starting to catch onto the back of this second train. So it is now going to be an interesting opportunity. They've got Aberdeen just in front of them, who's being held up by Bell. So Sylv and Carlos most likely going to be looking and hunting, trying to get their way past, because without a doubt, especially for the team's championship, they're going to want to get into the top 10, hopefully in these final 10 minutes.
Sorry, Williams. I mean, to be fair, it's one of my all-time favourite songs, so I'm glad it's stuck in your head now. But O'Reilly giving Tordock a little flash there to say he's wanted to make a move. And Skunky now looking to go around the outside of Leach, and Leach just says, no, mate, you've got to try a little bit harder and go around the outside if you possibly can. That's going to hold up the pack a little bit. Goudet now and Duffin going at it wheel to wheel. Duffin's going to try and keep his nose in it going into the S's, and he's going to try and keep his nose there. I think he's going to lose out here. Yes, he will. And in comes Snide, who loses the back end. Keeps it together, has to straight line the part of the S's there, and he's going to lose out to Bolton. I think Bolton's going to look up the inside. No, he's going to have to switch underneath, and Snide just hangs in there, and he just all that lost out due to a little bit of a slow moving Goudet and Duffin there, and in the end Snide losing out. But a good little scrap between these two at the minute as we just go past the halfway stage. The majority reckon that Snide's going to win this one. Don't think that's going to happen at this stage of the race. Duffin now looking to the inside as Goudet tries to defend, and he gets his nose up the inside, just about gives him enough racing room, and Snide is dropping back more and more as Bolton goes around the outside. Now Hoffner is involved, and all this is allowing Leach and Skunky to pull away, and once again it's not done and dusted yet as Bolton didn't get the best exit, and here comes Snide down the inside once again. So some good close racing here between these guys in the middle pack.
Definitely, I've just been watching a little bit further back as well. It is going to be MSA Sylph who does get past Aberdeen. Carlos on the back of Aberdeen now, down the back straight. Also Sylph versus Bell. Sylph got one, looking for another. Going to be going down into the braking zone later on the brakes, and that is very easily done. Though a little bit earlier brakes, it looked like Bell was trying to brake a little earlier and go for extra speed into the corner. Didn't work out there. Back to this fight though. We've got Bolton, Duffin, John Gooday all locked in this fight, a five-way fight at this rate, because we've got Hopper, Sny, Bolton, Duffin and John Gooday all locked into the triple right-hander. Two wheels there for a moment it seemed, maybe just a little game glitch in the engine, as apparently Matthew's glitching out on my screen a little bit. But now Bolton very wide down the outside. Sny goes down the inside. And that is going to be John Gooday, who has to have a wits about him because he was 3 wide there. Hoffer's also there. It's 4 square down the main straight. So we got 4 cars in a SimPlay sandwich because Rob Ramsell's now coming into this fight as well, as Matthew Duffin leads it. And it now comes into this because very interesting. Bolton gets the move done on the outside. Hoffer is going to have to defend because here comes Rob Ramsell. Looks for the inside line, inches, millimeters apart, heading into the first cut, into turn number 2. But now as we head into the Maggots Beckett's Chapel section, as Rob Ramsell has to catch the car, go straight over to one of the S's. And that now sends him straight on. So that will definitely be a track limits warning if I've ever seen one. But now it does create an interesting aspect of how are these drivers going to be up against each other. But we've also got to keep an eye on O'Reilly with the timings because he's catching up the tar dog. So he wants that P number 2 and he is not going to give it up until the end of this race, as we've got Sny now looking for Matthew Duffin as they go down into the brakings over the final corners into the back straight. But no, little bit of contact with John Gooday. Bowen's also there. Hoffer has got past Bolton. Oh, is he a little bit behind? He is a little bit behind. So now Rob Ramsell as well. Be careful though, because you've got Clarble, Millington and Langley starting to close in to join this fight. We've also got Kneebones, so there's CGT Motorsport team trying to make their way through. So from a 5-way fight, it may become eight cars. So the action, like in race number 1, is going to be picking up. It's almost like history is repeating itself into these final 5 minutes.
It is indeed, as long as you can see that the guys with weight, especially Duffin, is the one struggling at the minute. Sny's coming back at him once again, so Sny's slowly bringing that gap down, and Gouday's just making too many mistakes at the minute. He should have gone with him. While this has all been going on, Leach and Skunky have disappeared from this group, but more importantly, Zampanini, with 6.5 minutes still to go, way out in front as Tordok and O'Reilly just collecting points once again. They're having a pointsy race once again with this one. Leach, though, starting to get some pressure from Skunky, but Sny now onto the back of Duffin has slowly worked his way through the traffic and has worked his way back towards the front, and he's been looking quick. Bolton has a moment there. That's going to give Hoffner a run, and Ramsell as well, so it's all going to get very interesting towards the end of this race, Lexi. It is really getting interesting indeed as Ramsell now looks to the inside of Hoffner, and here he comes, and I think he might get the job done. But also Clarble looks to the outside as well.
Yeah, Carble's right there. Ramsell was handed that on a silver platter into the final corner. It was Hoffer who actually went into the rear end of Bolton, loosening up the rear end, so maybe some slight front end damage now. Rob Ramsell's got that move done. Clarble may take advantage as well because he knows there's most likely a little bit of damage. That's going to hinder the car, so he has to take that opportunity. He wants to get into that top 10, but he's got Hoffer in his way to do so. So it comes down to that opportunity that he has to take, and will he capitalise? That is the true question. Taylor with damage now has to defend from Stirrup, but actually yeah, there we go, it's updated now. Taylor got past Stirrup even with the damage, so that was an interesting aspect there. Langley trying to make his way around Steve Millington onto the back straight here, but wheel to wheel, side by side. Matthew Duffin has to defend from Sny, but Sny seemingly so much straight line speed, and that is it, done and dusted. Matthew Duffin though not going to give it up yet, going to be going down into the braking zone, and Sny is going to have to defend. Matthew Duffin looks for it around the outside, holds on to it, wheel right there, and now going to hold it.
Gary Leach, meanwhile, contact with him with Skunky, so he's had a bad run through the middle sector there. And Snai, once again, a little mistake there. That's going to allow Duffin to come back up the outside of the next corner. Duffin tries to squeeze him in, but Snai has the inside. He stays strong, and Duffin loses out. Rear end steps out, and that's going to bring the whole pack back together once again. And Leach, with that small contact with Skunky, has allowed him to just drop back into this squabble as they're too busy racing one another. Now Snai is going to try and catch Leach as quick as he possibly can, but Goudet now onto the back of Duffin with Bolton, Ramsel and Hofner and Kalabal all close together.
Just got to be careful because Matthew Duffin, a little bit of flash of lights there, didn't seem happy with this move that Snai made through the Hockenheim section, so that does become the interesting part. Where the leader is, this will be the penultimate lap now, so this lap and then one more, that is all these drivers have got left in this race number 2. So it now comes down to this one as well. O'Reilly is all over the back of Tardog. These guys have been looking and searching this entire race. Now it comes down to these very moments. Who is going to have that opportunity and that pace through these corners? A little bit wide there is Kans. So now that gives an opportunity for Silk to slide through. He's got Rob Smith now to hunt down, who's been signed P number 16. Pretty strong overall.
Snai!
Drive-through penalty for Snai, as that is going to be his race 2 down the drain, as even if he does not pick to get that rid of it, he will get a 30-second penalty towards the end. So that is Snai's race done here. That is going to be unfortunate for him. Matthew Duffin, though, isn't going to risk it. Goes down the inside to try and get the move done down the back straight, and will be like a shark. John Gooday will see that drive through. He will see the red, and he is going to want to go and get that car as quickly as possible.
Yeah, the thing is though, as long as Snai stays in front of Duffin, that's going to keep Leach out of reach. Meanwhile, further back, Ramsel's looking up the inside of Bolton, as Duffin will now get the job done on Snai, and through goes Goudet. So Goudet gains the position out of that as well. So Snai dropping down the order, and now can Goudet do anything about Duffin? Meanwhile, Ramsel didn't get the job done on Bolton, and he's now under pressure from Hofner. So all these guys relatively close. Meanwhile, further back, Millington is ahead of the CGT Motorsport boys of Langley and Kneebone, as they're just ahead of them. What other fights have we got going on? Everyone else, as we see here, Tipping has had a sent it from Fernie, and Johnson nearly went through, as does Marston. Here comes Varga and Taylor, and also Stardog, all close to one another, and Wright and Storrett just not able to go with him. Meanwhile, Silth and Carlos, the two MSA boys, just struggling to work their way further up the order. But into the pits comes Snai, and on the final lap does Zampolini. Tordok and O'Reilly once again having their own mini fight in Skunky in no man's land, but Leach pulling away from Duffin as we go and have, once again, we've got Goudet and Duffin going at it once again, and Duffin defends the inside of turn number 1. And can Goudet get a better run through the first couple of corners? No, he does not. Bolton, meanwhile, goes wide, and that's going to allow Ramsel to have possibly a chance of momentum to have an attack. And also, you've got still the CGT Motorsport boys going close at one another.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it comes down to it as the cookie crumbles. Drive through clear for Snai. As the leader now comes onto the back straight, John Gooday continues to hunt down Matthew Duffin, trying to find the opportunity to get past. It may not seem like it, but the championship points can be very, very good in these early stages of the season. Good bare results mean that it is not your drop score. Remember, the drop score is taken from your worst race. If I am incorrect, please somebody correct me. But if off the top of my head, that is the correct way. It's your worst results are taken as a drop score. But right now, John Gooday down the back straight, going to be looking for him. Also, going to have Rob Ramsel looking for Bolton, but it's not going to work out there either. Too much space between them. Flash, flash, flash by John Gooday into the Hockenheim section. The leader now comes. How will this work out? John Gooday down, looks for it. No move there. Made into the braking zone for the final corner. But speaking of the final few corners, Dan Zampolini's coming into penultimate.
Yes, he is. That is another pole position, fastest lap, and race win to his name. Can he do it one more time and get the first Grand Slam of the season? But Zampolini out of the final corner, race 2 winner once again, and point for fastest lap. Zampolini wins here for the second race at COTA. Here comes Tordock now to hold off O'Reilly in the end, who really gave him a hard time towards the end of this race. So it's Tordock from O'Reilly in the end. Then we got Skunky coming home in that P4 position. Skunky, another brilliant drive once again. Gary Leach holding off the rest of the pack to hold off into that P5 position. That is going to be Duffin in 6th, Goudet in 7th, 8th is Bolton, 9th is Ramsell, 10th is Hoffner, and Klarball in the end coming home in 11th, Millington 12th, 13th for Kneebone, Langley 14th and Silth in 15th as Smith and Carlos both get a drive through and a 30-second time penalty right at the end. That would drop them down the order.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate in the dying moments for them. Aberdeen unfortunately unable to get past Bell, but those 30-second penalties.
Oh, there's cars off. Sorry,
oh!
I don't know who that is. I think it's Stork. Yeah, it is. And Varga, they've come off. Yeah, they've... Not sure what happened at the end there, but they're both gone off. Strange one.
So, right, we've got time. I'm gonna save that replay. So then
we have indeed, and Storok's nearly gone round again, but Varga will get him in the end. But another race win for Zampolini on that one, and yeah. Can he make it 3 for 3? That is the question. He's been looking mighty. He's been looking quick. Obviously, no weight on board that car, so he's been looking very, very good. But we'll be back in a few moments' time as we have the final practice session and then the final qualifying session for the final race of the Whodarron Cup. So join us in a few moments' time.
Alright, let's go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we now get the final qualifying session underway here. And I also believe Matthew Duffin has done the tables for myself. So we'll have a quick run through as the guys now get themselves out on circuit. Tordok now leads the way with 6 points ahead of O'Reilly. Matthew Duffin is in that third place with Sylph in P4, Snai P5, Hoopit now down to P6 with Skunky P7, Zampanini working his way back up to 8th, Leach 9th with McGowan in that 10th, Wright 11th, Hoffner in 12th with Friedman down in 13th, Bolton 14th, Goudet 15th, Langley 16th with Carlos in 17th, Klarbel in 18th, Ramsel, then Yo, and then Cranes and Millington with the 22nd position, Aberdeen in 23rd, 24th is Tipping, Bell 25th, Kneebone in 26th, Varga 27th, Taylor 28th, Marsden 29th, Fernie 30th, 31st, going away with Smith with Old Sim Racer 32nd, Storic 33rd, Stardog 34th, with Johnson 35th, Archer 36th, Cummins 37th, P. Williams in 38th, Cherry Moore 39th, and Betterson in that 40th position. Regarding the teams, it is still Dapper Racing leading the way, but SimPlay Racing have now moved up to second place with Greasy Banners in third, MSA in fourth, with Bull Busters Racing in fifth, with Team RRM in sixth, and seventh is CT Motorsport, Quantum in P8, Team GBR in ninth, Full Sen Job Lords in 10th, with Team Audio Sport in 11th, GD Racing in 12th, with OWR Racing in 13th, Team Piston Pounders in 14th, Roadrunner Motorsport in 15th, 16th is Bluntfort Racing with CGT Motorsport in 17th, 18th is 2Cs Racing, Soldor in 19th, and Team Murloc in 20th, and Team FBR in that 21st position. B&W RU Racing. There's no BMW in here, I'm afraid. There's all just Janettas. And into the next qualifying session we go. Lexi, the final one tonight, the final opportunity to take pole position. And the man who's looking very, very good for another pole position has got to be Zampanini. He's looking good, he's looking solid. Is anyone going to take that pole position away from him? That's the question.
It's looking for free. That is the point that is being proven here. So the real question is, how long is it going to take before that is taken away? But it is the question of, will it be taken away? The earliest it might be taken away is next week in the Whodarron Cup. So that does create the interesting aspect of how is everything going to turn up? How is everything going to be done? We'll have to wait and see, as the 200 is going to be the first car out there. It's Tardok who's leading the way here in this qualifying session, with Matt right behind on the road. So around this circuit, it is COTA, it is infamous, and it's known as you head through the S's onto the back stretch, down towards it, we should say. It is a little bit cooler now here in qualifying. 38-degree track temperature, 34-degree ambient, no sun, optimum track surface. But there's only 3 minutes left on the forecast, so you've got 2 laps to get in, lads. As down the back straight, we are now going to go. It's Tardok who leads this, trying to hold on to it, trying to do as much time about it as we do now go. It is down towards the back, and here we go under the catenary and under the bridges. You see all the grandstands at the end. Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, infamous for this corner, but now through the left-hander they now go. Gonna hold on to it and gonna hold the times into the Hockenheim section, and then past the tower, up and under. It's very fortunate through this double left-hander, but you want to get this absolutely perfect. Go deeper, cut it in, hit the apex just like that, and then Tardok begins to run through the triple apex right-hander for this run here at the COTA circuit, the Circuit of the Americas, past the infamous COTA tower, through this long right-hander, and then into the braking zone, through penultimate. You don't want to take it wide like IndyCar, you need to keep it on the black stuff, and then into the final corner, into the braking zone, into the left-hander, then onto the final line. Goes to the run, goes to the line. It is going to be a 2:17.650, as of course you've got plenty of drivers. Matt Wright, close, very close, less than a second. But where is the man of the hour? Where is the man who has been on pole 2 times so far?
He's only second.
He's only second so far. Zampolini. Snai is fastest with a 2:17.3 flat.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes from now, because that is a good lap time from Snide, but we know that Zampolini can get in the 16s, and he's not done it. Airwolf in the chat, Brandon Williams will be racing on Pro Night, which is a Thursday night, so make sure you tune in then, because that's when you'll see the Mercedes driver, and a man that's really made that Mercedes look very, very good. I think he's a bit of a chicken to drive these Ginettas. Obviously, Brandon, don't give me too much hassle on that one. But yeah, it's you'll see him on the Pro Night, as he'll be ripping things up in that Mercedes-Benz, as Torok again with that weight on board, looking good, looking strong. Johnson with a good lap time there, puts him to 8th, and we'll see how the rest of this session go. But this is it. This is the last chance they got. Guys have gone a bit wide, and Fernie crosses. Sorry, who's round?
Clarball was round at turn number 1. He's RTG'd now. He was right on the apex. So, about some drivers' times will definitely be hindered there on the final runs, because Clarball's car was right on the apex, basically parallel with the track. So he was on the apex facing the barrier on the other side of the circuit. So that's definitely going to hinder some lap times. So what I'm interested about is, where is Zampolini? He's coming through the Hockenheim part, so he may have just avoided Clarball. So less 0.197 off the top time right now. 2:17.3 is the time to beat. We've seen Zampolini do 2:16s in qualifying 1 and qualifying 2. Fastest laps in both of the 2 races so far. Both pro to wins. Checkered flag falls here in qualifying through final.
Torok improves, but he doesn't go pole. Here comes Zampolini. Is the 2:16 going to come? Not quite. Snide takes pole position at this stage, unless O'Reilly has something to do about it. He does not. He only goes P4. Gary Leach, though, up there with the pace of the leading runners. We go on board with Hofner. He's now gone to the pit. Smith crosses the line. He does not improve either, as Hofner does continue. Oh, no, so that's Bell. So Skunky now, he's in pit lane. Matt Wright's in pit lane. Gary Leach, though, the man looking to improve, as Fernie goes 12th in the end. Crane's in the end. He is returned to pit lane. Varga goes into P16. And in the end, Snide takes pole position. We now wait for Gary Leach. And who else are we waiting for? We are waiting for Langley. And I think Stardog as well. No, I think it's Goudet. Goudet as well. Nope, not Goudet. Who is that other car?
100th of a second between Snai and Zampolini. 100th of a second.
And yeah, I'm surprised Zampolini didn't get in the 16, so his continuation of dominating isn't going to work. Towards the line it goes Kneebone. He only goes 16th for that one. Langley goes 9th. And once again, Snai upsetting the order here. He takes pole position away from Zampolini. Is that going to stop him taking the sweep here? Because, again, like I said, this season, Lexi, no one has done a full sweep. They've not done a... I forgot what it's called now. A Grand Slam. That's it.
Well, if we're going to get into technical aspects, a Grand Slam is winning all the races. A Grand Slam is being top in all qualifying, all races, and all practice. But realistically, here it's just all qualifying and all race, because we've only got 5 minutes of free practice. It's more like an interval section. So Zampolini can't get the Grand Slam, but he can get the Grand Slam.
Well, we don't obviously talk the breaks. Obviously, the breaks don't class as that. It's more like a resting session. But if you do class the first practice session, that was for an hour, Zampolini was fastest. So if he had taken pole and then won this race and then obviously took the fastest lap as well, that would have been a Grand Slam. Or Schlam, whatever, or however you want to pronounce it.
The technical, it's weird because they're spelled exact. Well, apart from it's SHELAM, S-L-E-L-M for Grand Slam, or the Grand Slam. It's just a race. So the Grand Slam is just the races. The Grand Slam is all three. So it's spelled differently and it's pronounced differently, but they basically sound exactly the same. It's really weird. Anyways, it is Sny who will line up on pole position, dethroning Zampellini, who's been on top the entirety of this evening. He will line up in P number 2. Tardock sits P number 3 with O'Reilly P number 4 to round out the second row of the grid. It's then Leach, Skunky, Wright, Hoffer, Langley and Johnson rounds out the top 10. The 2C Racing driver a lot higher this time round rather than at the back of the grid like for race number 2. It's then Duffin, Ramsell, Fernie, Kent, Millington, Bolton, Nebo, Vargas, Smith, Stardog rounds out the top 20. Bell, Carlos, Sylph, Marsden, Aberdeen, Taylor, Clarbel, Bedison, Gooday, Tipping, and then Sturrock, who has opted for a pit lane start.
I don't know if it wasn't opted or ended up just stuck in there, but once again, Sny is going to be the one to keep an eye on. Votes are in. Who you think is going to win this one, ladies and gentlemen? So get your votes in. And yeah, Lexi, you've been asking me all night long who's going to win this one or win the other races. In your opinion, who you think is going to win this one?
You know what? I'm going to go for an oddball here. I'm going to say Matt Wright.
You're going to go with Matt Wright on that one?
I don't know why, but we've seen it across the entirety of the season. You don't really know he's there until he is there. Yes, he's had a bit of a bad race 1, but that was because of a collision. Race 2, he started further back. But now going into this race, Matt Wright, with quite a few drivers not getting very good qualifying positions, that is giving him the opportunity to start in P number 7 here. So if something happens, because we've seen Zampellini fly away at the top.
Gary Leach has returned to the pits. Gary Leach has returned to pit lane. I don't know if he's been teleported accidentally.
You scared me then. I thought you was about to say Matt Wright's been teleported.
I mean, could still happen. The curse, you know. Right,
let's. Oh well, Tardock stopped on the road. Oh, and Tardock's got going again. Very interesting. Right. Let's get serious now, Dan. It's over to you for the. We know how we do this. I did the race number 2. I'll hand it to you for the race number 3 start.
We will indeed, but more importantly though, Alexi, I must say we also have to say a massive shout out to all of our followers, the people who've liked and subscribed to the channel and subscribed as well. Massive thank you to our Patreons as well. And if you want to be a Patreon, have a look in the Discord. With that as well, you get priority on sign-ups, your race number. Next season, obviously we have all the data from all the circuits, so then it will be your choice of what circuits we have on the calendar. But like I said, you get priority of fun events and sign-ups as well. Also, if you are part of the Patreons, you also get your Instagram posts and stuff like that automatically uploaded to the SimPlay channel itself. So make sure you do that if you want to be a part of the channel. It's only £3 a month, and it also helps the channel out as much as possible. It goes towards trophies and streams. And also a massive thank you to our sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport as well. If you do want to sponsor the channel and be a part of SimPlay Motorsport, then join our Discord. It should be in the description below as well. And then get in contact with either myself, Daniel Davis, Matthew Duffin, Mike Matthews, Matt Wright, or John Goudet, any of the admin members, and we'll sort out some form of information regarding being a sponsor to the channel. But more importantly, it is the third race of the night. It is GT4 action. It is the Whodarron Cup, and in memory of the of our fellow friend who we lost last year. And this is all for him, as we got the Ginettas all ready to go racing for race 3 tonight. We now just wait for starters' orders as we get things underway here at COTA for the final time in Texas. And we are green and go, and Zampellini has got a good jump there on the start of Sny as they head up towards turn number 1, but Sny is going to be defending that inside as much as he possibly can, but Zampellini is going to send it right round the outside, and job done. He now leads into turn number 1, and the rest of the pack, there's contact. Fernie is off. I think that was with Cranes. Yes, it was. And there's everyone else relatively clean as well, but there's another slow car. That's Fernie, I think, but Storak has not started this race, and Leach, I think, has got going. Yes, he has, as I think Storak has as well. Yes, he has as well, as they all get going. But Zampolini, once again, with the start that he needed, he jumped Snai, and Snai caught napping there, and he's lost the lead straight away, as O'Reilly is ahead of Torok. Then we've got Skunky, Langley, Wright, Duffin, Hoffner, Johnson, Ramsell, Bolton, Millington, Varga, Kneebone, and then we've got Carlos and Silth once again working their way through the pack, as they are quite close in the middle of all that. As we see there, Bolton looking to make a move on Ramsell. We've also got very close quarters going into the hairpin with Duffin and Wright, but that is pretty clean for most of them. But Zampolini, once again, with the start that we all expected, he went right around the outside and made Snai look a little bit of a fall into turn number 1. But nonetheless, Zampolini leads this race.
Very big bump there between Varga and Kneebone, as it looked like it was going to go off there down the inside. Varga's round from the apex into an MSA. Car gets T-boned, gets inside him, and that is going to be very, very unfortunate. That's going to get taken out of context. But now going down into right-handers, who is going to hold out here? That was very interesting between them. Varga's made his way through, got plenty of cars back here who got caught up in that. That's going to become an interesting aspect for the stewards after this race, I'm confident. But now it looks like they're going to be holding on to it. Like you said, Zampolini's driven away. I'm going to change my prediction to Zampolini. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Can't change.
We're now going to... Yes, we can.
No, we can't. That's it.
Yes,
You put it in.
Yes,
You put it in now.
Yes, we can. Have you watched the WWE Royal Rumble? I can change my prediction if I... Right now, though, we're going to have these drivers making their way down the back. Bolton is going to be on the back, hopefully fixing the little lag issues that we saw in race number 2. Hopefully they are fixed now and he can go side by side without having to worry too much. Looks for it down the inside here. Does go very deep. Does hold on to it. Up and under for him. Goes through does Johnson. Goes through does Ramsell. Where does Bolton come out? Wheel to wheel, side by side with him. Millington gets a front row seat to this as they now head through this part of the section, through the rip-off Maggots and Beckets, as many may call it. They've been making their way through and now trying to hold on to these positions as we've got so many cars across the field battling each other. It's hard to keep up who is where. Bearson goes wide in out of turn number 2, catching a moment, so that's going to be unfortunate for him as well. Making their way through. It's going to be locked in this fight. Silf up against Millington, who has now Kneebone behind. Also going to have Carlos in that fight. Rob Smith seemingly having a bit of an unfortunate moment there. We'll be racing in the Pro-Ams tomorrow night, brought to you by Dan Davis once again, right here on SimPlay Motorsport. But this is the Whodarron Cup. Johnson, that's going to be Rob Ramsell, who goes very, very deep. And it is going to be unfortunate for him. Is he going to lose out to Millington, who's now going to have the toe down the back straight?
We shall see indeed, as they're all relatively close one. Once again, still using his pro knowledge just to slowly work his way through the order. And here comes Millington to attack Ramsell, their teammates in the pro category, but down the inside comes Silth. He'll get it stopped, and Millington just about gives him enough racing room, which is good racing, good racecraft there, and good awareness. But he's going to be on the wrong side as now Carlos looks up the inside, and these guys have had some entertaining races tonight. And there goes wide is Silth. He's going to lose out, but he's hit the back of Millington. Millington drifts around the corner and holds on to position. Great car control there, but Zampolini once again long out into the distance. And Snai can't go with him. Tordock in third, O'Reilly in fourth. Langley now dropping behind Duffin, and Duffin looking to try and get to the front of the guys as Matt Wright sticks to the back of his. Hoffner not too far off the back of these guys once again, but 663, that is Johnson already a drive through for track limits, and into the pits he comes straight away.
Right there, that was very interesting. Millington, we're in COTA, not Tokyo, as is. It would be very interesting to see Ginettas race around Tokyo, but we're here at down the inside is Matt Wright. Langley's right there as well, trying to hold on to it. Matthew Duffin has to watch out for him as well. Tardock is there. Snai is P2.
Oh, sorry, Skunky's just dropped in the chat. That's his first ever disconnection on ACC. He's been disconnected.
What?
Skunky's gone.
We're down to 30 drivers.
Yeah, wow. I don't recall ever Skunky ever disconnecting.
Yeah, to put in the context how many drivers we've got on the grid, we don't realise when somebody disconnects, especially if it's somebody's first time disconnecting.
Well, the last time we actually came to COTA, we actually had a mass disconnection for the Pro-Ams, and it was an absolute disaster because we started the race. I think we must have got through maybe just over half distance, and then everyone started getting mass disconnected again. So this time round at COTA, we have managed to go on disconnection free, other than Skunky and a few others, but yeah, it tends to be Laguna. We like to call Spooky Laguna, which is later on in the season. But we got Carlos and Sylph drafting one another here, going down the back straight, and it looks like Sylph is going to try and make the move up the inside on his teammate, but Carlos is going to try and brake later, and they give each other racing room, and fair play to the boys. They do manage to do so, and Carlos will have the inside for the next part of the corner. And Sylph goes around the outside, he gets the better traction, Carlos loses the rear, but he's still there, but Sylph will have the inside for the next corner, and once again some great little racecraft from those two.
Nice little inter-team fight going on there, as you love to see it, as although I would say you want to help each other out a little bit, maybe give each other the toe, because you've got to catch up to Millington and then Ramsdale to get inside that top 10. But it is going to be an interesting one. But I will say we are very lucky today, thank you console, because fun fact, the Kunos servers are actually down on PC, so thankfully for us here on console, the servers are not down, so we can actually have this race tonight, meaning that Ramsdale now, out of the final corner, is going to have an opportunity to hop in the slipstream and maybe try to close in. Millington's also there, but they got to be careful to the MSA boys. They got Kneebone coming up right behind them. Rob Smith also going to have to defend, because here comes John Godet going looking for it, goes to the inside line, goes down the inside, almost loses out, gonna hold on to it in that position for the moment. Aberdeen as well, he's good looking for retribution, because he got overtaken by John Godet 2 races ago, so now he's going to be wanting to get back and past him.
He is indeed. Meanwhile, Duffin not able to go with the O'Reilly Tordock fight, and Duffin now has got Langley hunting him down with Matt Wright and Hoffner not too far behind. Fastest lap of the race, I think, has gone. It's disappeared. No, it's not. It's still there. It's still Zampanini who's got the fastest lap. And well in control at the minute with a 2.2 second gap over Snai. Tordock has now caught up to the back of Snai, so Snai has to start thinking a little bit further behind, as everyone else is kind of in a kind of rhythm at the minute. And we've got Sylph once again on the attack of Millington, but they've brought Kneebone with them.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens is right now, also, Aberdeen's still here. John Godet going to go for the switch back here. Rob Smith also going to have to defend down the back straight. So many battles up against each other. Bolton is now going to look for it. Not going to work out there. Matt right on the move on Langley. So down the inside into the braking zone at the end of the back straight. Lovely jubbly. And that is how it's done. And that is nice and tidy. Now we've got Matthew Duffin, who's going to be ahead of them. Tardock is still on the back of Snai, so that's going to be a fight which will evolve throughout this race. Also going to have Hoffer here. Looks for the move. It seemed like a little bit too much curve for Langley. Looking for the infamous Formula 1 game move, but the dive down the inside into that double left-hander. However, no move done there. Number 59 is round. Number 59 is round. That is Steve Millington, who is round in the Hockenheim. And that is unlucky for him. What has happened there? I'll try find out.
I think it was contact between him and Sylph, I think, in the Hockenheim section. So I think a little bit of contact between them. Meanwhile, Hoffner is still on the back of Langley and looking quite racy at the minute. Hoffner looking for an opportunity to find a way through. Can't find it at the minute, as Hoffner in the toe, in the slipstream. He's going to look to the inside of turn number 1. And we go up to turn number 1. Izzy later on the brakes to make sure he doesn't hit right at the same time. He goes a little bit deep, and Langley just being patient and waits for the opportunity, and job done. Through he goes. As just further back, Ramsdale not able to get past Bolton. As we got here, Goudet has just pulled ahead of Smith and Aberdeen. Aberdeen going around the outside of Smith there, and will get the job done. I think, yep, Smith not able to use that speed and momentum, and Fernie staying ahead of Stardog, as Marsden now just on the back of Bell. Bell has a big slide there, and Leach, after a bad start to this race, starting from pit lane, he's slowly worked his way up to 26 possession and working his way through the order. But once again, Zampanini, with 10 minutes still left to go of this race, surely has got this in the bag.
Well, I have an update on what happened to Millington. going through the right-hander, got a slight tap on the rear right from the first of the MSA cars. So that would have been a slight tap on the rear end from Silk. That caused him the half spin. That then brought Carlos in, who went into the side, and then the front end spinning him round more. So basically, it wasn't intentional, but he got double teamed by the MSA cars going through the double right-hander, and unfortunately, that's how he picked up the damage and picked up the spin.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's a shame. Meanwhile, we got Clarble now attacking Smith by the looks of things. Cranes had got ahead of him. He was just behind them, so we can see a possible change for position here as Clarble looked possibly up the inside, but not able to do so. Did not get the momentum.
To the inside, not going to work there either, so...
Oh, there goes Varga. Varga goes up the inside of Clarble. Clarble will have the inside now for the next part of the sequence of corners. But Varga, with a little bit more pace, goes right round the outside. And Clarble gives him a little rub and nearly spins him round, but faces him back the right way round. And Varga will hold on to that position for now.
You have to be careful when it comes down to that type of racing, especially when you're that close to each other. So how is that going to come between them? We'll have to wait and see. But that fight, we've seen it happening so many times this evening. It seems like those two just cannot escape each other. So it seems like the frustrations or possibly the fights starting to bubble over a little bit in this Austin heat. 40-degree track temperature, 35-degree ambient. You can only imagine how much the tyres must be screaming when you go through the S's. But it's going to become an interesting one towards these dying moments as we've got Matt Wright, who's now chasing down Matthew Duffin. Don't forget, Quantum Motorsport, SimPlay, all under one umbrella.
We are indeed, and also just on board with one of the other Quantum Motorsports. He was Millington trying to attack Stardog going into turn number 1. But once again, Duffin just seems to be struggling. To be honest, both of the Mats both told me coming into this race, they both seem to be struggling with this circuit and the Ginettas as well. But obviously, in this one, they're both looking quite competitive on this race. And once again, you can just see Matthew Duffin just scoring the points when he needs to do.
That's the story of Matt Wright and Matthew Duffin so far this season, it seems. They are just there scoring the points. They may not be on the podium, but they are there, they are scoring the points. Of course, Matthew Duffin picking up a few podiums here and there, Monza to be exact. But other than that, they are high up.
Sylph meanwhile down the inside of Ramsell. That's the job done for him, or possibly defending from Ramsell. Nope, Ramsell loses out there. The next car to chase him down will be Nebo and Carlos dropping further back. Not a lot of fights this time round in race 3. It's a little bit more quiet. As I say that, we go on board with Bell and Leach. They're now heading down towards the left-hander, and Leach pops out, looks to go down the inside. Just behind them as well as Taylor attacking Marsden, but Leach goes up the inside, and Bell losing a position there, and Taylor gains a position as well. So lots of fight going on towards the back, but everywhere else is relatively even at the minute as the two Mats going at it. And that's pretty much about it towards the rest of this pack as O'Reilly once again just starts to bring the gap down to Tordop.
Leach and Bell possibly, because going through that right-hander...
Matt Wright's got a run on Duffin actually, so Duffin now under pressure from Matt Wright as they head up towards turn number 1, and I think Matt Wright choosing not to attack Duffin and chooses just to sit in his slipstream for a minute.
It's the play you want to make. You've got 5 minutes, 45 seconds left on the clock. 2 minute. Let's see what lap times the leaders are doing actually. So the leader right now doing lap times of 2 minutes 17s. So 3 laps left in this race realistically. So it comes down to that. Like.
Oh, sorry, Stardog looking up the inside of Fernie for a brief moment and couldn't quite get the job done. He's going to be under some pressure from Millington, but not quite Millington managing to hold him off. But Leach pulling away from Bell, and now Taylor now giving Bell a bit of hard time.
That's just the way it has to go sometimes. But, I mean, like I said, it happens to everybody on the field. You've got about 3 laps left. Well, 2.5 technically now, because everybody's coming down towards the back end of the circuit. But that is where it has to count. You've got so little time left. How much are you going to be able to do here? Sturrock goes very deep at turn number 1, as it is going to be the fight which we have to keep an eye on. It seems like it's calmed down a little bit for race number 2. That seemed to be where everybody was right up against each other. Down the main straight, actually, down the back straight, actually. Silver's going to have a move of Bolton here. Going to go wheel to wheel, side by side. Going to go down the inside. Bolton's on the outside. Silver on the inside. Looking for P number 9. Will he get the move done? The 4-4-3 goes there. Bolton tries to go for the switchback. Not going to work out. Silver's going to have to hold this line, though, and nobody gets it absolutely perfect. Otherwise, Bolton's going to have an opportunity to slide through. Maybe a little bit of a rear end slip there. Bolton may go through and up and under. Not going to opt for it this time round. Ramsel's got a front row seat. This fight is starting to escalate into these dying laps.
It is indeed, and Duffin also just made a mistake earlier on. That's allowed Matt Wright to have a look of an opportunity, but not really threatening him at this stage of the race. But Matt Wright still looking like he's got more pace than Duffin at the minute. O'Reilly, once again, just seems to be ebbing and flowing between himself and Tordok. He gets close, and then Tordok just seems to find a little bit more pace somewhere else. But more fights happening down the order as we got Varga now back on the back of Smith. Johnson has got ahead of Taylor, so Taylor's dropped down the order, and Leach pulling away from Bell and trying to hunt down Millington towards the final laps of this race. Varga up the inside of Smith in the final corner, and job done as Smith loses the rear end ever so slightly there, and Bolton now dropping back from Silth. He's now starting to get into the clutches of Ramsel.
As Snice slipped away a little bit from Tardog, that's now opening up the opportunity to O'Reilly heading here on the penultimate lap. They go through the right left chicane realistically to bring in the crest over and down the hill. It creates an interesting aspect with this circuit because Sector 1, you climb all the way up that big hill at turn number 1. Sector 1 to top the hill, then you go all the way down the hill to sector number 2, and then it's basically flat for the rest of the circuit through that corner. As 22 has a moment there as they are round in the triple apex right hand of that is Sturrock. That's not a good race for him tonight, but it's going to be next week where they will have to make it interesting. It's going to be an interesting one next week, Dan. I wonder where we're going to be going.
Well, we're going back to Europe. We're heading to Spain, and it's going to be very hot once again. We are going to the home of our hot stint server. We are going to Barcelona, Catalonia for the next round of the season, and we have not been to Catalonia for about, I think, 2 seasons now, so it will be interesting to see. And obviously with these hot conditions, the way it's been relatively hot here in Europe at the minute, it should be very interesting to see what the conditions are. But regarding the rest of the week, I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I've heard there are still some interesting weather coming in later on this week for possible thunderstorms for the pro category on Thursday night. So make sure you tune in on that and make sure we see what the weather is like. Zampolini now starts his final lap here, and we run down to the last couple of minutes here. But there we got Cranes looking up the inside of Varga. Sorry, Varga going around the outside of Cranes there, so he's gained a position. And Fernie trying to make moves on Millington but can't quite do so. But Barcelona should be interesting, especially with these hot temperatures if we're keeping them. These guys have had a cooler conditions than we thought. Obviously no actual sunlight really hitting them, with a bit of cloud cover helping them out a little bit. So Bell here just struggling as Taylor's on the back of him. But what a night it's been so far. And Lexi, obviously I want to bring towards the driver of the day. I'm going to get a poll going for driver of the day. But it's been very, very strong from Zampolini all night long, hasn't it?
Zampolini, driver of the day, without a doubt. I do just want to point out, while we were talking about what's coming your way rest of this week and next week, Steve Millington got a double overtake down that back straight, just nice and tidy as Steve Millington. No, my game was just being awkward. But, of course, it's the final lap as here comes O'Reilly now. Looks for it, got to go down the inside, possibly almost into the back of Tardot. That looked like he was very much going to go for it, but not that time either. Very, very close between those two drivers. But here in the final lap, it is going to become an interesting one. O'Reilly's going to have one more opportunity onto the marbles, down to the back straight. It's O'Reilly versus Tardok. Who's going to be right at him? Who's going to go around the outside? Is it going to be there for him? Not at this moment in time. It's going to be O'Reilly right there with him. Going to hold on to him. Going to look for him. Looks on up and under. Too far back. Has to slip in the slipstream. Number 64 with a drive-through penalty. That will be Bell. But right now, as these two do continue to fight, O'Reilly and Tardok, we're going to come back to these two in just a few dying moments' time. Or maybe we'll have to keep with it as they're now going to go wheel to wheel, side by side. It's going to be very close, but we're going to have to look at the leader real quick. Zampellini and the final corner. 3 races for free, 3 fastest laps for free, 2 qualifyings to them. They win here at the Circuit of the Americas. Snipe P2 and O'Reilly in these dying stages, just unable to get past Tardok. Tardok rounds out the podium. O'Reilly P4. Duffin versus Matt Wright, battle in the final dying moments as well. Duffin stays ahead. Matt Wright P6, Duffin P5, Langley, Hoffer. And then, Hoffer, and in fact, no, Sylv just got ahead of Hoffer in those dying moments, and Bolton rounds out the top 10.
And Bolton from Ramsell, from Kneebone, from Goudet, and then Aberdeen coming into the final corner, just holding off Varga right at the very end there. And we've also got Cranes just behind them with Smith, and a run to the line here for Gary Clarble and Millington. Rounding off 18th and 19th goes Fernie. Stardog in 20th. Gary Leach from pit lane ends up in 21st position after that one. 22nd will go the way of Johnson, and I believe Carlos keeps disconnecting. Well, let's say Bell comes to the line. He obviously comes in to do a drive through. Taylor goes through. Marsden, then Betterson tipping. Starrock and Carlos running off the grid there. But Zampellini, a brilliant drive from him, looked absolutely in control tonight. Didn't quite get the Grand Slam. Snai just took that pole position away from him, but nonetheless it has been an interesting night's worth of racing for himself. If any of the guys have made the podium or are happy to do an interview, they are more than welcome to come and join us in the commentary box. But just as I switch the screen over a minute, we'll just be back in a few moments time as I will get the highlights on the screen in a minute. And like I said, we'll have a rundown and a finish of this night's racing. But we're back in a few moments time. Okay, we should be back and live for everyone to hear us. And let's see if anyone will join us in the comms box at the minute. But first things first, Lexi, obviously we've got a driver of the day poll at the moment. And it's getting the way of Zampellini, obviously Torok in there. I put Hoffner in there as well because I thought he'd done a brilliant, good night's worth of racing. Snai obviously in there as well for a solid night's worth of racing. But Lexi, for yourself, who do you put as driver of the day tonight?
You know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this a little differently from what we usually do. Overall driver of the day, I'm gonna give it to Zampellini because how can you not? Absolute domination on another level from what we were seeing. So of course you've got 3 race wins, 2 pole positions, fastest in free practice. So how can you not give that man driver of the day? I think we can expect quite a bit of ballast to that car. So I'm going to give Zampellini driver of the day for both overall and for pro. For, well, I say pro, it's gold in GT4. I'm going to give it to Matt. I'm going to give it. Who should I give it to? You know what? I'm going to give it to Millington for silver because he had quite a good day. He had good recoveries, and then of course Rob Smith in amateur because three wins in amateur in bronze. Apologies, Pro-Am's getting to me, which you can watch Pro-Am tomorrow night. So yeah, Dan's going to be there with you. But no, overall driver of the day, it's got to be Zampellini.
Yeah, I think Zampellini very much up there. I'm actually going to say also Snai, he's really starting to get into a rhythm here. And I think keep an eye out on him in the pros later on this week. He looks very, very competitive in anything at the minute. So we'll keep an eye on how Snai gets on in general. But for me, like I said, Hoffner, another driver of the day to mention as well. Duffin, is another one to mention. Doesn't like this circuit, and he scored some decent points. O'Reilly and Tordop once again doing what they need to do, score the points where they need to. But looks like no one's going to come and join us in the comms box. But more importantly, guys, if you make sure you tune in for the rest of the week, we've got myself bringing all the action tomorrow night for the Pro-Ams. How are they going to take to the circuit? It is looking, again, a lot like a hot one as well. I have got the weather in the chat at the minute, and the weather is looking very sunny. Hot conditions once again. There is a bit of rain lurking around, but nothing really to threaten the Pro-Am boys. So we'll see how they get on tomorrow night in these hot conditions. But it is definitely something to look forward to. And then the pros on Thursday night with Sweet and Sticky in your box. That will be Matthew Duffett and Kelly Davis bringing you all the action on that one. Regarding the championship, I will see if Matt has managed to put in all the information. He has obviously rushed off from the track and then on to the tables, which, like I said, guys, there's a lot of work that we do in the background to make this all work, and he has, looked by the looks of things, has done the tables. So I'll quickly sort out the order. But next round of the season, though, Lexi, is Catalonia. Are you looking forward to Catalonia? What do we expect from there?
Here's the thing. I'm going to enjoy Catalonia, both as a driver, but also as a commentator, because you look at Catalonia, and yes, we've got the chicane, but it's one of those circuits that there's a reason why it's used as a test circuit by many teams. It's because it's one of those circuits that is just chef's kiss. Just take away the chicane, but we have to deal with the chicane. But otherwise, it's just one of those circuits that is really good for racing. Like, the moves happen at turn number 4, the moves down into turn number 10 hairpin. The chicane breaks up a little bit, but the runs you can get down the main straight. It's one of those circuits which is absolutely lovely, and I'm really looking forward to it. And honestly, the GT4s, I think they're going to have a real fun time going around there.
They will indeed, and I think it's going to be awesome as well. Obviously, if we have the hot conditions as well, it's going to look really good indeed. I'm looking in the Discord chat, everyone looking very happy, and great comments to see in the chat, which is nice to see. I know obviously temperatures get high, but we like to keep it as professional as we possibly can. Obviously, tempers do high go, and obviously myself last week did end up doing some saying some things I shouldn't have said, but once we all calm down and walk away, then obviously that's the best thing for it. Regarding driver of the day, it's gone the way of Zampolini. Both me and Lexi have given that to him as well. But that is it for the Whodarron Cup. For them, it'll be Catalonia that's next on the calendar, but for the rest of us, it is still a week's worth of racing here at COTA. And it's going to be an awesome weeks of racing coming up ahead. But from myself and Lexi and everyone here from the Whodarron Cup, in memory of the a driver who we sadly lost last season, we are doing a fantastic season and in great memory for him. We now move on, and we'll see you all tomorrow night for the Pro-Ams. Good night.
Good night.